For years, the world has listened to thousands of podcasts. But if you dare to immerse yourself into a new experience, new ideas, viewpoints, award-worthy commentary, and a way of looking at things you didn't think were possible, strap in, it's gonna be a bumpy ride. Gaming, current events, local and global, finance, sports, religion, health, and everything else. It's all here. It's all here in the Data Podcast.
We're about to go. 3, 2, 1. All right, we're live. Well, not live, pero hopefully soon. Hopefully soon we'll be able to go live. Pero how you been, man? Everything good?
Everything good, yeah. How about you?
Nothing new?
No.
Birthdays, anything like that?
No, nothing.
Celebrations. Actually, yesterday was my grandma's birthday, so I got out of work and school, and pues we went to her house aquí enseguida. Y hicieron cater, carne guisada y arroz, and they had some como unos guys that they actually played pretty good. Mi dad los conoce because they work with Lopez Ready Mix.
Okay.
Y so ahorita le están sacando material a mi dad aquí en el ranch. And one of the guys, I can't remember his name. Creo que se llama Rufino. I might not be correct on this, but he es un troquero él. And he used to have a band or un group. And I don't know the group's name, bro, pero back in the day, like, and I'm talking about back in like our parents' day, this group was pretty famous. Like, they were around here, like, I guess like a kind of like Odisea types.
Okay.
Así like, pero pues this is like their generation. I don't know cómo se llamaba, no sé si era Grupo Estrella, bro. I honestly don't know. Pero they played yesterday aquí en la fiestecilla y tenían el guy con la accordion and tenían su cantante, right, con ¿cómo se llama ese? Que es como la guitarra pero de 12 cuerdas, ¿cómo se llama ese?
Oh, el bajo sexto.
El bajo sexto, ya, and then pues el otro guy que es el troquero, pues él tocaba el bajo, right, he was playing the bass. And they didn't have a drummer or anything, pero como que era, bro, like, damn, man, they were doing pretty good. Y mi grandma les pidió la canción de Amor Eterno.
Oh, okay.
¿De quién canta esa? Juan Gabriel, right? I think so. Amor Eterno.
I think it's a woman that sings it.
Yeah, so he like como covered it nomás.
Sí, I think so. I'm not sure, bro.
Yeah. So they didn't really know that one. Like como esa no la practicaron. They didn't have it in their set list. And they're just like, bueno, pues vamos a hacer el intento. Like, that's what they say.
Okay.
Bro, se la aventaron. So these guys, ya estaban viejitos.
I think it's Rocío Dúrcal. I'm
sí?
not sure
la canta?
that she wrote that song for her son or someone
sí?
who passed away.
Oh, really? I know.
If it's a song that I'm thinking about, yeah.
Es la que dice que va like...
She says, como quisiera que tus ojitos nunca se hubieran cerrado nunca.
Algo así.
Like that. Yeah. I think it's
They usually
her.
sing that
Rocío
one.
something is her last name.
Sí.
Dúrcal or something.
They sing it like como en funerals.
So, yeah.
That's what I've seen que they sing that song for the most part.
Yeah, it's
Pero
a sad
yeah,
song.
sí. So hicieron cater, sacaron bastante carne, like, sobró bastante. So maybe when we finish with this episode, te doy un plato, porque
Ya
es
está,
mucha
bro.
compa que no se tire, bro. I mean, quedaron
Thank
dos
you.
bandejotas de...
Yeah.
So ahorita cuando acabemos le hablo a mi mom que prepare unos 2 or 3 plates para que te lleves, para que no se tire esa cosa. Yeah.
We also need to get together to play the guitar and the instruments, bro.
Sí, bro. A ver when we do something. So I'm also thinking about adding an extension to the podcast channel where it's gonna be us reacting to music or to
Some songs.
some songs or something that we see on the internet, ya sea like some kind of interview or something, and we give our thoughts on that. And so maybe the channel, I don't know what the name is gonna be, but it's gonna be because we're pharmacy technicians, right? So it's gonna be like most of the times are gonna be pharmacy technicians react to, and then whatever it is. But it'll be an extension to the podcast,
Right.
just so that we can start branching out también. Pero last week, right, there was a couple of games that came out in an NFL, right?
Oh, yeah.
America's game of the week was Buccaneers at Patriots, and it was a very good game. It was a better game than the Super Bowl a couple of years back. Que era Falcons at
You think so, bro? That was a really good game, bro.
this past game, only because I was a Patriots fan and what it meant, right? And so following Tom Brady, it's like I left the Patriots to follow Brady. Yeah.
Last year they didn't play the Patriots.
Los Buccaneers, I don't think
I
so.
don't think so, because they don't play them every year.
No,
It just depends on
Yeah.
the schedule because they're AFC team.
Yeah.
So this was the very first time they went back, and it was at New England.
At New England, yeah. So it was like I know they did like a whole promo, like the return and Brady's
okay.
coming back,
Yeah.
right? And I was seeing que they were interviewing like in the pregame, they were like interviewing like como Patriots fans that were there, and they're like unos que otros, right? They're like, yeah, of course I follow my boy, I follow Brady, like I'm a fan. Y otros que no, they were just like broken in the middle, like I'll cheer for him when he comes on, but other than that, I'm a Patriots fan at heart.
Yeah.
So
They wanted him to lose.
Yeah, they were like, I want to see sacks, I want to see him go down, I want to see him get injured. I was just like, damn, man.
Well, he's a
But
traitor,
yeah.
bro.
Yeah, he's a traitor. But it was a good game, bro. Como quiera, like I actually
was.
thought they were gonna lose this one. I didn't think the rookie, what was his name? El quarterback that they have, Joe se llama
I
something.
can't even remember his name either. But the same thing happened where he got the ball at the end with it was seconds on the clock, and he takes it to field goal range, and it was a field goal, right? That they
Yeah,
won.
sí.
Because I watched the last quarter. I didn't watch the whole game. I think
Yeah.
I tuned in a little bit late in the game,
Yeah.
and I think they were losing, right?
Sí, they were
losing, and then he came back.
Yeah, came back. So it was like a game of field goals.
Gee, nah, nah.
It came down to the kicker, pero.
I thought they were gonna lose too, man.
Sí, yeah. Yeah, I was like, como. I didn't go see this game con mis parents only because I think I had ordered food and I only ordered for me. And so, quería llevar eso like just for me. Luego ir para allá, right? I should have gone for everybody. So I stayed here and watched it, and I was nervous as hell, man.
Yeah,
I was nervous as hell.
I know how that feel.
Yeah, it's like me acabé todas las uñas ahí just biting them. And that's why I was just like, we're talking about...
Like the first game of the season, I was
Yeah,
the same
sí,
way.
también, the same way, nervous. And I was just like, válgame, pues, ¿qué me pasa, right? I started thinking to myself, like, pues, ¿qué me pasa? Like, it's just a game. It's just a game. It doesn't mean anything, pero... man, hombre.
It took a toll
That's
on
why,
you.
like, yesterday, I know we were talking about when we were playing Warzone, ya que the Season 6 is out, right?
Yeah,
It's
season 6. It barely started.
And we're talking about, like, okay, you were hungry, and I was like, flower seeds, and I was just like... Yeah, so that's what I needed for this game. I needed flower seeds for this
con los
game.
nerves ahí.
No, hombre, it was...
At this point of the
something
season,
else.
they're the Cowboys and the Bucks
Yeah.
have the same record, bro. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be interesting.
I have some people that they're Cowboys fans, right? I know some people. You're one of them, and others también. And I asked the other people, right? I'm not gonna say their names, but I'm like, are you really a Cowboys fan, or are you just
Only
a
because they're
bandwagon?
playing well
And I
this year.
ask them, do you know the rules? I'm like, do you know what false start means? Do you know what neutral zone infraction is? Do you know the penalties? No, you don't. You don't know anything about football. You're just like a bandwagoner, right? You don't know anything. You don't know what 3rd and 10 means. And they're just like, como, why you gotta be an asshole? They're like, why you gotta be so mean then? And I'm just like, pues, hey, you can't be a fan of something if you don't know what's going on, right? Like, yo, for the longest time, I've always said that I was a fan of Cruz Azul, right? When somebody would ask me, a mí me gusta Cruz Azul. I never watched soccer until you got me into it, right? Pero before all of that, I always liked the way the uniform looked.
Yeah.
And so that was the only reason why me gustaba el Cruz Azul. Like, I saw all the other teams and I was just like, this one. I'm like,
You
this
like
one.
the shirt?
I like the shirt. I like the shirt of this
colors.
one. So this is my... If I had to pick, I would pick them, right? Now, I don't know anything about who plays there or what, pero this is kind of the same
very
thing. Like,
important team.
when it comes to soccer,
Yeah.
I see, like, I would be a bandwagoner. When it comes to, like... Porque esos son Mexican teams, no? Like,
Yeah.
America and what is it?
América,
Tigres.
Cruz
And,
Azul, Tigres,
¿Quién más?
Rayados.
yeah, so I don't know anything there.
Santos.
Yo no sé nada. De ahí, no sé quién juega a dónde ahí. But if I had to pick, it would be Cruz
You
Azul.
should watch them though. I guess
Yeah.
interesting.
See?
Yeah.
I don't know when they come on.
And they're and they. So I go for America.
Yeah.
And their rivals also.
Ah, sí.
So-
¿De dónde es ese team?
I think they're both from the what is the capital?
Ah, sí, el DF.
Mexico City.
Yeah,
I think
okay.
either they're both from the city or around that area.
Around that area.
Yeah,
Oh,
because
okay.
I know there's like 2 or 3 teams that are from there, and they're like big teams. They're important
Yeah.
teams because they're there,
Uh-huh.
and they're rivals because of the same thing.
I only know Rayados is Monterrey, right?
Monterrey and also
Tigres,
Tigres
right?
are from Monterrey. Yeah.
So, like, every state has a team or what?
Not all of them, but some cities have.
Oh, like the bigger cities,
Yeah,
the
some
bigger
cities have more
cities
than one. Yeah.
Ah, okay. So, it's like the NFL, como like Los Angeles.
Los
que
Angeles
tiene
sometimes has more than one.
all
LA
kinds of
Lakers and the
basketball teams and baseball teams and football teams, que they have multiple.
yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. Yeah, pero so then that's what it is, like, como being a bandwagoner. When it comes to that, I don't know. And so you could make fun of me and I'd take it, right? I'd be like, no, but you're right. You caught me.
Yeah.
You
no,
caught me now.
No, but because the Cowboys, they usually have a lot of followers and a lot of fans.
No, pues es que la Star también.
But
The-
whenever,
the Star is like
I think it goes back to when they won a bunch of championships and
in the 90s.
and
Who
kind of
has
like how the Patriots have a lot of fans now because of that.
Yeah.
But I think it was back then, and they were growing. They have a lot of fans all over their America's team and stuff. So they have, for the most part, they have a lot of fans. But when they're playing well, like this year, you'll see more of that.
Uh-huh.
And then when they have like a bad year, there'll be a lot of haters. They either love them to death, or they're hating, and they're just talking trash. There's this reporter also, I forgot his name, that's always talking trash about the Cowboys, man. Have you heard him?
Ay, ¿cómo se llama?
What's his name? It's in ESPN.
Steve,
Yeah.
what's his last name?
I don't remember.
Steve. I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, but that guy, I like watching him because he's
Yeah.
he makes really good arguments,
What's his name?
but he always trashes the Cowboys, man. He makes fun of them. I think he was saying something about this season, saying like,
Steve Smith.
Steve Smith. It's only a matter of time before they collapse and everything goes down.
Yeah, I remember when Dak Prescott got injured. Yeah, he was the first one that came out. Like, even talking crap, he was the first one that came out and was worried about Dak Prescott. Like, despite all the crapping on him. Pero I got into it with a student ayer.
Yeah.
And he was telling me, like, sir, the Dallas Cowboys have the most Super Bowl wins.
No, not anymore.
It's it used to be the
and now the
Steelers.
Patriots they're tied, right?
And they're tied.
Yeah, that
So-
sucks, man.
So say if the Patriots would have kept Brady one more year and they would have just I don't
They
know.
could've gotten
Honestly, don't know what would have happened.
another
What
one?
happened?
I mean, very possible for them to get another one
Yeah,
and then
to
just
have
be
gone to 7 and they
at the
would have
top.
they would have been the top team.
Have you ever
but-
seen Smith and what's his name?
the white guy? What's his name? Kellerman. Max
Skip.
Kellerman. Skip and Shannon.
The Skip versus
Sale-
Smith.
No.
They'll
Oh, really?
toe to toe, about the
porque-
Cowboys, man. Because this is a hardcore
Skip,
fan,
Skip is a hardcore
and then this guy
fan.
trashes
Mm-mm.
them.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
really
Sí,
intense.
sí. Yo, okay, the guy that I don't like from those is Max Kellerman. That guy. And when he comes on Stephen A. Smith, I don't know what show it is in ESPN, pero man, that guy's coming from boxing, and it's just like, you're trying too hard, you know.
I know which one you're
Like
talking
you're
about. yeah.
trying to be passionate about something que is not passionate for you. Like when it comes to boxing, he knows what he's talking
Yeah.
about. When it comes to
And he's a
boxing, I
good,
listen to what he says. Yeah, I listen to what he says when it's about boxing. But when it's about any other sport, I'm just like, yeah.
I think he's all right.
I don't like him. I don't like that guy. But yeah, so there was that game, and at the end, the Buccaneers won barely, and it was pretty sad. I wanted to see Julian Edelman. Is he with the Patriots anymore?
I
Or?
don't think so. Or
No?
Isn't he retired?
He retired.
I think he retired.
Ooh, no, hombre. I was looking forward to
I'm not
seeing-
sure, everyone. Don't listen to what I'm saying. I think that he
Yeah.
retired a while back.
And the Patriots, como quiera, they have that rookie quarterback. I don't know what his name is. At this point, just se me olvidó.
They let go Cam Newton.
Yeah, they let go of Cam Newton. Yeah, so they have this rookie guy, and I think he was a first round pick. I think if I remember.
That's the guy that was playing on Sunday.
Yeah. And
Man,
he started off.
good.
He started off nervous. Like he started off like a little bit nervous,
Yeah.
and then like towards the middle, he got.
Started getting into it.
Nomás se soltó, nomás
He
se
threw
soltó.
some interceptions.
Well, he threw some interceptions, yeah. Pero como quiera, I mean, to go up against Brady,
It was
and
a
you know
close
what
game.
it means.
He kept it close.
You know what it means. He
Yeah.
kept it close. So yeah, it would have been a blowout, but then you could have said this guy ruined it.
Yeah.
Pero pues it was a close game, and I actually thought they were gonna lose.
Plus, it came down to Brady.
It
Where
came
he
down
had
to
to
Brady.
he had to do it at the end, as he always does. And
Yeah.
and these type of games, he doesn't lose, hasn't lost.
And he's fast, bro. Brady's fast. Like if the defense is making a mistake, there was a play. No, okay, it was like a too many men on the field. He just as soon as
He'll
he sees
exploit it.
you give him the chance, and he'll just exploit that. So he has that going, and so I know que también
Another quarterback that does that is Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron
He's really
Rodgers.
good at doing
Yeah,
that.
I was gonna talk about him también because he wasn't supposed to be the first string anymore. He wasn't supposed to be the starting quarterback anymore. No, I think that the Packers had
There's no way, man.
gotten they had gotten some other quarterback. Según que he was gonna be the starter of this season.
That would be crazy.
And so that's why I was like, I don't think like como eso, are they gonna draft Rodgers to the Cowboys? You know,
Yeah.
because they were gonna make him second string.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, okay, Randall Cobb went back. He went back with the Packers,
Oh, okay.
right? And so now it's like they're allá los dos.
Oh,
están-
because he went to the
Yeah.
Cowboys for a little
yeah,
while.
he was with the Cowboys.
Now he went back.
And he went back. So it's a game I think it también was also, I think they won. I don't know who they played. My dad's a Packers fan, but I don't watch that game. I don't know who they played, but I know they won.
They had a good
Yeah.
game.
And
There was
so
a bunch
then-
of good games.
Oh,
Right,
sí.
a bunch of overtime games
Sí,
also.
sí, también. And then the Panthers at Cowboys.
The Cowboys playing very well also, man.
¿Qué pasó
Very
ahí, bro?
surprised. They pretty much they blew them out. I mean, it was close in the first half,
Yeah.
but then it just they blew them out. At the end, it got interesting because the Cowboys started just like relaxing,
Mm-hmm.
and the Panthers scored like consecutive touchdowns to get it pretty close.
Yeah.
But there was not enough time for them to do anything. The Cowboys just dominated the game.
Yeah.
But it was a good game. I mean, good win, right?
Mhm.
Just climb the W's.
Going up to the top.
Yeah.
Any particular plays that stuck out from that game? Highlights.
I just a bunch of good pass plays from Prescott to his receivers. They're playing lights out, and then the running backs, both of them playing outstanding.
Was it like more of a running game in this one? Or
I think it was pretty balanced.
Balanced
Pretty balanced
both?
game. Yeah.
passing and
Yeah.
rushing yards también?
Yeah.
I should have seen that game. So no, I didn't even get to see the highlights or anything. Pero,
Mm-hmm.
pues I do know that they won. I do know that they won como quiera.
I think they have another division game coming up tomorrow.
See, who
against
do
the
they play?
Giants.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
it should
then
be an
that,
easy game, but
that one I'm
it's
gonna
still,
watch it. I'm
yeah.
gonna watch the division ones. I'll watch.
Yeah. But it's a division game.
The ones that count, you know, not that none of them count, pero or the regular ones don't count, but the division
They
ones
weigh
are-
more.
Yeah, they weigh more. And then, plus, we were talking about the Cowboys and why people are a big fan, right? And it's that star, bro. The star, like, the team took up the mantle, if you could, of what Texas is.
Yeah.
Texas being the Lone Star State, that's what they call it.
Mm-hmm.
So out of the and they push it, man. They push it like Aquita la flag. Out of the stars, right? They're saying like, "Como, yeah, it's the Union, but we're our own star. Like we're not part of the. We don't want to be part of the." You've heard about that, but like Texas has tried to secede in the past, like leave the Union. This was one thing that I didn't write down in the topics, but this past week, se me fue la onda, but this past week, New Hampshire, I think, the state of New Hampshire is pushing también to secede also. They're starting to collect the signatures to secede from the Union. And what they're doing is they're doing what the Democrat tactics are ahorita. What the Democrat tactics are right now is flood Republican states.
Okay.
So you've heard like como Californians are starting to come to Texas. For what reason? To make the votes on the Democrat side, to make them higher, right? Okay. So now the Republicans, right, they're like, oh, okay, so you guys are doing this game? ¿Verdad? So they're like, flood New Hampshire and push to secede, right, from the nation. So now it's like, if you get enough votes, ¿verdad? Pues now this becomes a big deal, right? Because pues now it's like somebody else joining the conversation of wanting to leave the Union. And so pues right now, ahorita, like, I want to say I'm proud, bro. I'm proud to be in Texas and to be a Texan and what this state represents. like we have our own independent energy and we're our own. I honestly think that we don't need the federal government. My opinion, we don't need it. That Texas could be its own, and it should be its own thing, and we wouldn't have to worry about anything else because it's not like we're in the middle of the country, right? We have the river that separates us from another country, and so trading is easy. You know, nomás eso, we have the Gulf Coast también. So trading with any other country, like if you wanted to, you wouldn't have a big problem. As opposed to if you were like in the middle of the country, like Colorado or something, it'd be a little bit harder to branch out and to like expand. But there was that also, and I forgot to mention that.
Okay, now it's interesting.
Hey, and so then this past week, right? Actually, yesterday at school they had us running drills. You know, like fire drills and
my daughter talked about that also.
Lockdowns and lockouts y todo. Now, why? Because I'm pretty sure you know that there was a shooting in Texas, and it was in
Arlington, where we were talking about the Cowboys. I guess Arlington. It was in that city, right?
And that, it was in that somewhere there, somewhere close, like Arlington, in Arlington, Texas, and it was in Timberview High School in Arlington. And they identified some African American 15-year-old male. And what I had heard originally when this was coming out was the gist of it was it was an argument that broke out, and it eventually led into a fight, and then it eventually led to him pulling out a gun.
Pull out the gun. I read that he had been bullied already a few times in the past, and then that something happened where he was. So you were saying that he kind of was defending himself. Yeah. When I first heard about it, I thought it was another shooting. You know how where they call it like an act of terror or something. But this was something different.
Yeah, this was something like.
But it still makes us think about all the gun control laws and all that, and think about all the times. I mean, why does it keep happening?
I thank God that there's other sources of schooling. Like, I don't know if you've heard of the K-12 program.
Okay.
Like, this might be something that you might want to check out for your little girls. If you wanted to take them out from the public school system at all. My little brother está in el K-12 program. And so basically, everything is online.
Oh, okay.
They send the materials. They send laptops to the students. They send the curriculum, right? They send, like, these are the classes that we're signing up, right, that you can sign up for.
Yeah.
And then so you enroll. They send everything online. Todos los libros. If it's science, they send the microscopes and everything. They send it in a pretty big box. And then you follow a schedule, and the kids are assigned coaches, and usually that's the parents, right? They're assigned coaches, and they send you a check at the end of every semester. For being a coach, I think it's like $250 for being a coach. And so I remember that when this happened, cuando lo sacaron a él, it was a little bit after the Sandy Hook shooting in Connecticut, right? And you remember that one? It was Adam Lanza, I think that was the name of the perpetrator. And he went into some elementary school and shot a bunch of kids and teachers. And this guy lost it. And it was close to Christmas. Also, I remember I was in STC and at that time, and I was in the pharmacy tech program, starting to become a pharmacy technician. And I remember I came home porque it was allá in McAllen where I had to go. I came home and I turned on the news, and that's what was on the news. Yeah. And I was pretty worried that day. And my little brother in ese tiempo, he was at an elementary aquí in Roma.
Oh, okay.
And so I remember I called the school. Aquí, and I just wanted to make sure everything was okay, right? Because he came to mind, right? And I was watching. It was pretty sad, man. It was pretty sad when you were watching the helicopter shots, like overlooking the school, and the cops that are talking, and the chiefs and the mayors y todo. And I remember seeing parents, like when they were starting to get reunited with their sons and daughters, and there was some parents ahí que they were just like was ahí just waiting, like
there was no one,
and there was nobody to be reunited with. And so that was pretty sad to watch. Yeah. That was pretty crap to watch. And so we look at this past now a year and a half of lockdown. Right, and the school was canceled for the most part. Right, it went online, but it wasn't in person. And you might remember, I had told you, like, one of the things that we're gonna see is, while they're not going to school, there isn't gonna be any school shootings. But once it comes back, this is gonna come back. This stuff is gonna come back again.
And I wonder what kind of school, like, how easy was was it for a kid to bring a gun to school? He brought it to school, right? It was during the school.
He brought it to school. So ahí it's like, como, pues, where did he get it from? That's the very
Where did he
first
get it from,
question.
and how did he get it inside?
And how did he?
It's that easy.
How did he get
Just
it
walk
inside?
in there, put it in your backpack or whatever.
They don't have. I know que ahorita I read it in the Town Crier. The Town Crier, for those of you who don't know, it's the local paper here in Starr County, and it's about they're talking about all the cities and the towns aquí. And I think this was the issue of about 2 weeks ago. They were talking about I think they called it the Raptor program, algo así, in the schools de Roma, in all of their public schools. Now they have like what is it, like metal detectors? Mm-hmm. So you have to walk through the metal detector, and then as you're walking, it takes your temperature, it takes everything.
Oh, wow.
And if you have anything in the bag that is, or anything that's concealed that is suspicious, ahí it flags it. So they installed these things in all of the schools of Roma, and this was before. This was even before the shooting, happened. Even before the shooting. So this is like maybe it might not stop everybody, or it might not stop something from like this happening.
Yeah.
But it sure is a deterrent. Mm-hmm. Like it deters this from happening. So now, what kind of reform could we do? Yeah. Right? How can we keep this from happening? Because it's been happening again, and again.
Also,
right?
Bro, like, why do we even have to get to the point where schools need metal detectors, bro? I mean, it looks bad just to see a school when you go to that school. Oh, in my school we have metal detectors. All this. That's not a good thing.
That wouldn't feel comfortable.
It's not a good thing.
That wouldn't feel comfortable.
And I mean, obviously, this would make all schools safer for all schools to have this. So you feel more comfortable. But this is really a good thing, right? And this is where I want to talk about like gun controls and the laws and all that.
Yeah.
I know where you stand right now as far as like gun control and where I stand.
Yeah.
Is, the same thing, but I mean, the argument that gets brought up by the other side, it's worth a listen to because it makes sense. Yeah. Also, like, where are these people getting their guns from? So, this is a kid. He obviously got it like from his parents or something.
Had
from
to
his
have,
room.
Yeah.
Why isn't it locked?
Yeah. They should arrest the parents.
They should arrest the parents. So why there should be laws in place for that, right? Yeah. So at least if you're a parent at home, you know that there is that law or whatever. Maybe you'll take extra precautions or extra say security to secure your arms or whatever, right? But you know, if you ask me, right, personally, like, do I believe that people should have the right to have arms? If you just ask me, like, in a vacuum, I would say. No, I don't know. No one should have any guns because, you know, I don't trust people with guns. But but I do believe that I should own a gun because, you know, if anyone comes up against me or whatever. Yeah. So that's the only reason.
So you're saying like not just anybody to have a gun. Like you're saying like there should be some tests or something required in order.
No. Like what I'm saying is like if you ask me, right, I would say. No one should have a gun. No one. I don't care who it is. They
not even the military or cops.
No one. No
one should have guns.
But yeah, but for me personally, like I would be the only person that would be allowed to have one. Right? In my opinion, like I'm just talking, right? So that thought is the only thing that makes me agree with saying, okay, everybody has their own right to have a self-defense arm or just a gun or whatever because of the Constitution, right? But if I was a person that didn't know anything about our Constitution, I don't know anything about America or anything, and you just ask me, I'll be like. No, I don't think people should own guns. No one in the whole world. But because of, you know, so much crime and everything, it's necessary. You need it at home, self-defense and stuff. But it needs to be a little bit more control to where kids are not. It's not a like something that kids can just grab.
There's this. Now you're talking about that, right? Mm-hmm. And I've told you about that. The easiest for me, like if I was a senator in the representing Texas or whatever. And I was to put forth legislation or some kind of bill, right? And I talk about it with the other lawmakers. Mm-hmm. The easiest way for me to, if I wanted control, not to take it away, but if I wanted control, I would raise the price of bullets. Okay. And I would raise them by, 10,000%. Okay. Like per bullet.
But then you're giving, like, what's it called? More benefiting more. You're just taking it away from people who can't afford it, right? It's still freely available for other people who can afford it like nothing. Like they have more privilege, right?
Yeah.
And then becomes unfair.
Yeah. So there would be that. Yeah. So, but that's like one way. And then there is a video game, man. And this is where video games, like from back then, like I was looking at video games And then just like the story of the video games and like how they like, you know how like some of them it's like in the future this,
Yeah.
in the future that. Well, there's this one video game, and it's called Metal Gear Solid. I don't know if you're aware of the franchise. And so this was Metal Gear Solid.
This is the cars.
No, this one is about es como stealth espionage. It's like a 007 type.
Oh, okay.
It's like a 007 type of, you know, Mission Impossible kind of game, but not that famous. Like it's not up there where they've made a movie about this game yet. So this one is Metal Gear Solid 4, and I think it's called Sons of the Patriots. I think that's what the title is. So this is the fourth game in the franchise, right? And so one of the things they have in this game is just like they have these by this time in the future, right? All the people on Earth, like they've been injected, like, then they call them nano machines.
Yeah.
So it's like nanotechnology running through their veins. And so if you get sick, right, you just go into like a computer, ¿verdad? And like if you're feeling like a sore throat, and the nano machines go and they know what they have to do, and then you're fine. So you're always healthy, you're always fine. You never run a fever. You can smoke as much as you want. You can drink as much alcohol as you want, and you can get drunk, right, just to feel the effect. And then once you want to get clear, you just go, and the nano machines, ¿verdad? They like como clean you out and make you better, ¿verdad? So then one of the things that this game had was that since everything was connected with nano machines, in order to use guns, like the guns, right, because it's a game about shooting, right, the guns were linked to your nano machines. Like you couldn't use like let's say this was a gun, right, and this was somebody else's gun, and I wanted to use it in the video game. You couldn't use it because it wasn't linked to you. Like, so you would try shooting it and it wouldn't work. So this was one of the things like that game has, where like we haven't seen it yet, but by like going into the future, I can imagine something like this where it's like if it's not fingerprint technology or something where like the trigger, you know, recognizes the shooter, right? Nobody would be able to, right? You can take the gun with you, but you won't shoot it because the trigger.
It's crazy that you mentioned that, because a long time ago when we were seeing that there was a shooting happening in the news, I told my wife that I was like, if we have to like fingerprint to unlock our phones and everything, how do they make some kind of technology for guns like that, right? So the technology is there, but it's crazy that you mentioned that. And then another thing is that what we were saying right now about that video game, that's fake, right? It's a video game.
Yeah, it's a video game.
But there was this one guy, I think I mentioned it before in the show, I'm not sure. But is a guy, like a scientist, that predicts what kind of technology we're going to have in the future and stuff. And he, supposedly, when I was reading the article, it was like 86% accurate of all his predictions or whatever. What kind of technology we're going to have in the future. So he's saying that like in 30 years that we're going to have supercomputers or AI supercomputers that are going to be superior than the human brain, right? So superior than the human intelligence, right? And that there is going to be technology that you can like inject or implant in your brain. Yeah. That you can like connect to computers or whatever, right? And then he said, like the crime rate could virtually be reduced to zero because, and then we won't even need any guns or anything, because let's say someone was committing a crime, that they could like shut you down from that whatever they implanted in you. But this is a real, like a scientist predicting that this is something real that is possible in the future. He didn't say like it's something that we're gonna have, because obviously all these things need to pass by the laws and everything, but the technology could be there, you know, because you know Elon Musk is working on Neuralink and all this stuff where they're trying to connect the brain through signals to computers and stuff. So they're working on that stuff. So he's predicting like in 30 or 50 years, I don't know how much the technology is going to be there for something like that. It's crazy.
AI like robots, you mean? Como, or just computers?
I guess it's like the intelligence of like of a computer or whatever kind of robot that has this kind of like connected to the software or whatever is going to be superior to what like a human being can do. Yeah, like I don't know how to.
Have you ever heard, kid, like they say like our brains, right? There's like neurons in the brains, and there's like como they branch out. There's like branches in the axons and all that. And they say like como if you were to coat, if you could coat the neurons inside the brain with gold and gold plate them, then the brain would be even quicker than what it is now. Yeah, the electronic impulses that run through the brain would
more efficient.
Would be more efficient because gold is an excellent conductor of electricity, según. Right? And that was one of the things que they were seeing with gold plating the neurons in the brain could make you
better.
like a little bit faster. I don't know how fast, but it could make you a little bit faster. And so you're talking about AI, bro, and I'm about to tangent off. I'm about to tangent off here.
Okay.
So you've heard of sex dolls
Yeah.
and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So we talked about like humanity extinction and stuff. One of the things that I think, right, and this is a conspiracy of mine,
Yeah.
right, is that AI would be our own demise because at this point, and I don't know if you've seen the work that they're coming up with now, pero suppose that you're well, we're guys, right, so I won't even bother going into the female brain, right, pero us guys, right, we don't like nagging, we don't like to deal with things for the most part. It's just like, right? It's like, just make me a sandwich, shut up, sit down, right? That's like, for the most part, it's just like, don't nag me. I know what I gotta do. I'll cut the yard eventually, right? Just quit it.
Yeah.
That's us for the most part, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's not to be disrespectful or anything. But now, with this AI stuff, right? And this would be for girls también, right? Maybe girls, because I've heard like some females say like, I want a guy who listens and who's there and talks to me, right? And holds my hands and is there, right? And listens to my problems and cries with me todo.
Yeah.
Well, guess what these robots can do now? They can do that stuff that you wish you had in an actual partner,
Yeah.
right? They can, they can do that stuff. Provide what it is that you need. And let me show you the work, bro. This is one, and this is a female sex doll, bro. And this is an
Okay.
example of what we're
okay.
dealing with, right? So now imagine this, right? And I'll zoom it in. I'll zoom it in the podcast. What I'm showing you, just so you can see it in the corner. But this stuff aquí, right? If you're a guy, and eventually, right, you're just like, well, I've had it. I just want somebody who will just give me a piece and stuff. And the same thing with girls. Eventually, what you're gonna find is like going into the future.
Yeah.
This is the alternative.
Okay.
And this is like you already said that AI is gonna be better than us.
Yeah.
And so, and that is gonna be true. Then these things are gonna be better than the actual
Partner.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
And so then what would happen? You'd get a decrease in not
Babies?
not in babies, yeah. But there's a word for it, no? Infant rate, is that what it's called?
I don't know.
Non-infant mortality rate. There's a
Like-
term,
like the
birthing
birth
birthing
rate.
rate. Yeah.
Yeah.
The birth rate in countries
Would
right,
go down.
would go down
Yeah.
significantly.
So, yeah, that will have a big impact for like the growth rate to slow down. We have the world will be smaller actually in the future than now. But the way that I envision, right, like the future,
yeah.
when you go like far out in the future, if
Mhm.
it even gets to that point,
Yeah.
right? Maybe there will be less people, but those people will also like live longer lives. So, you get what I'm saying?
Did you ever see the movie In Time? Is that what
Yeah,
it's called?
I actually saw a commercial about it today. It's weird that you're talking about it.
The
Yeah.
one where it's like
The time in
at
their
21
arms, and that's how long they have to live unless they like buy more time.
Currency is time,
Yeah.
and that movie is
It's
mind-blowing.
weird. It's freaky.
mind-blowing,
Yeah.
man.
It's pretty cool movie.
There's a lot of like underlying messages
Yeah.
within that. It's like don't waste your
Don't waste
time.
your time.
That's one of the lessons.
Yeah.
And then it's like if you had all the time in the world, that's not everything. Like you saw that one guy, he was rich and he wanted to die,
Yeah.
right? And that was crazy, man. There's a lot of
Well, I think did I mention this also before? I feel like I have, but since technology and artificial intelligence
Yeah.
and all that will make people live longer lives, and eventually, then that's what I believe. But and then the Bible does mention that in those days, the people are gonna search for death and they won't find it. Remember, I mentioned that. I don't know if I mentioned it before on the show, but since we're talking about this now,
So me, I'm that verse, right? And it sounds gotcha when I've said it, and you've heard me tell you this before. Pero me, as much as I am a champion of life, like I find beauty in death también. I think that death is a beautiful thing. Now, it is sad, right? But I relate to that verse.
okay,
I relate to that verse. So as long as, right, and it sucks, right? When you lose someone, I know I've lost people. It does suck. It's sad, right? It's kind of hard to get over it, but eventually you do. Pero for me, my mentality in order to cope with that is like I know the truth and I have an idea of where I believe this person will go.
Yeah.
If they believe, right? So that's number one. And then number two is that verse.
Yeah.
And I say like, as long as people are still dropping, right? And as awful as that sounds, As long as people are still dropping, that means that we're not in that part of the Bible yet.
Oh, okay.
Right. So then that when everybody stops dying, that's when you start panicking.
Start to worry.
That's when it's be a panic. It's to be like,
Yeah.
damn, what's going on? And I actually had a dream about that, man. I actually had a dream about that. I was in I don't remember where I was at, but I was trying to take my own life in the dream, and it was just it would just elude me. Like I had a gun.
Scary.
I had a gun. I would fire it, and the bullet would jam. I'd go to the noose, and I'd like tie something around my neck. Y luego, like the thing would just no se enganchaba, right? La troca también, right? I tried to like in the dream, like just trying a bunch of things. It was a very weird dream, man.
Crazy dream, bro.
And I was like, nothing that you tried would work, even in going into the water, bro.
Yeah.
And that was the one that scared me because that's where I woke up. I was in the last resort was drown. So even like porque the fire was just like there was like como this bubble that encased me, and I wasn't able to burn in the flames. So then I was like drowned. So me fui in un boat, and then I just jumped down. I jumped out of the boat, and I kid you not, man, like in Moses, cuando se abre el agua, se abrió el agua, bro, hasta abajo. And nothing happened to me, and I was just like, this is crazy. This is crazy. That was a very weird dream. Pero yeah, we were talking about that. Y me acordé de ese dream that I had. It was a pretty bizarre night.
There's a verse that said you would walk through the fire and you won't get burned. You walk through the waters and you won't drown.
I actually, era aquí in my house, where I set it on fire, and it was just like a bubble shield thing.
Yeah.
Que no me pasaba nada.
Yeah. No, the thing is, you know, like you were saying that it's good for people to be dying and stuff.
Oh yeah.
It sounds bad, but the way that our minds work as human beings is we don't want to leave this planet, right?
Yeah.
As long as we have, like, it's a beautiful gift from God and everything, but where our minds stop, where they can't go any further, like they're so small, you know, that they have a limit. We can't imagine what's next. So it's a next step, is like the way I see it, right? Like a graduation step. You're going to somewhere. It's something different. Like it might be something better, but since we don't know what's out there, you know, a lot of people are scared and stuff, and it's natural for the human mind and then the scientists and stuff to want to increase the lifespan, right? To keep people alive as much as possible. So that's why I think, you know, science will work towards this.
They know that that's the goal, porque if you remember from Genesis, it's like we only ate the tree of knowledge, right? That was the one that que esta Eva had gotten.
Yeah.
Now, if it had not been that one, right, only because the serpent le dijo, like, you can become like, you can like know right from wrong, right? But if it had been the tree of life, pues then all of us would have been immortal.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have had the knowledge, but we would have been immortal.
But it was there available for them to.
It was there available también, yeah. All that tree was
only
there
this
also.
one was prohibited. But so then when they ate this one, the other one became like taken out.
They banned them. Se quemó el otro, and they banned them from the garden.
No se quemó. It was like kept guard, like with angels.
There was like angels that were guarding it with swords and stuff. Que feo, no? Imagine being. I wonder what that must have been like when you actually
talk about mistakes were made there. Wrong choices.
Why do you want to know things? Why don't you just grab the other one? Damn it, right?
There's a lot to talk about that, because the Bible also says like too much science adds sadness or pain or something like that. Like too much, knowing too much and stuff.
Yeah, I was actually telling my students this, bro. I was telling them that science is. I had shown them a video, and the video was called "Mathematics is the Queen of Science," and then I told them, I made the connection. This means that the wife to science is math, and so science is the husband. And les dije, why is that? And I was like, pues look at us, right? Boys. I was like, we suck. We're boys and we suck. What do? All we do is see, and we just say like, oh, she's pretty, and it ends there. It ends there. Ta bonita, I want it, right? And that's it. That's all it is. Now, what does a girl do? And I was telling my kids, and I was like, a girl will tell you the color of shoelaces that the boy was wearing. The girl will tell you the color of shoes he was wearing, the brand of shoes, the brand of jeans, if he had any rings in his fingers, if he had a watch, if he had a bracelet, a necklace, right? The color of his hair, the eyes, right? Any kind of things that were going on in the face. They break it down, and I was telling them, like, science is just observing, but in order to understand science, right, you need mathematics, and that's what girls are. They go into detail, And us guys, we don't go into detail. We're just straight to the point.
Yeah.
We're just, this is how it is, like this. This is round, and it's a cup, right? Now, to begin to understand this thing, right? Well, there is a circumference, there is a diameter, there is a radius, there is depth to this, holds a volume, right? Pero pues for us, this is just a cylindrical cup. Pero for a girl, right? And that's what I was saying, I'm like, como mathematics, this is like some girl stuff. And I was saying, I'm like, joking ahí con ella. I was like, so I expect my girls to know.
To get A's.
to get A's, right? Because pues, this is going into detail. Pero yeah, man, that's the stuff, the science in the Bible. And you're saying que, like, science is a...
For me,
science is a sad thing.
The way that I believe, right, this is it's a verse in the Bible, and I believe the Bible 100%, but I believe there's a balance. Like, you could use... It's like when you have supposedly superpowers, you can use those powers for good or for evil, right?
Yeah.
So science overall for me is a good thing. It helps in many ways, right? For us, but all it takes is one wrong turn, wrong decision. You can use it for completely opposite things for evil. Like the science that came behind the what's it called? The bombs. The nukes.
The A-bomb, yeah.
So
the hydrogen bombs.
There was science behind that, and there's a lot of benefit from it. Yeah. But
nuclear
there's also like a destruction. So, and it goes back to the tree.
Yeah.
It's called the tree of knowledge of good and evil.
Yeah.
It's good and evil, right?
Yeah.
It goes both ways.
They were talking about this in Jordan Peterson. I've shown you some of his videos before, and I listened to a lot of his messages. And they were talking about this good and evil, and they were saying that como girls don't want a guy that's good, right? They want a guy that's not evil, right? Because you would have thought I was going to say evil.
Yeah.
But they want a guy that's balanced. And so what does that mean? Okay. And so he's trying to say, like, all of us have the potential to be evil, but we contain it. We have that in a closet, if you could. Like, como we don't let that out. And so girls don't want somebody who's always just good to them, right? They want to know that that side is also there. And so then that makes you balanced. And he says, like, como, when God was making the world, right, it was good, right? Pero evil was also there. You can't have one without the other. So he was like, I know que dice, like, he made when it's like in Genesis, he made light and it was good.
He separated the light from the darkness.
Pero at that point también, when that good was, when it was good, evil was also there. It's like you can't have one without the other, man. Like, aquí, there's two things there, but you don't see that other side because pues, it's only painting the good side.
Yeah.
But even from there, from the very beginning, once it mentions the word good, i.e. the very first good that is there, evil también está ahí. Evil is also there. And so that's what he was saying, que they want, females want a partner who has that both.
There's a crazy
good and evil
religion, I think, behind this whole concept. Have you heard yin yang? You know what that is?
Oh, yeah.
And the symbol is like a black, half of the circle with a squiggly line in the middle and two dots, and it's white and black.
It looks like fish or something.
It means like everyone has good and evil inside them.
Yeah.
And then everybody has that both sides. That's what it means. I mean, we could talk about that. We could go on about that. I have a little bit of... I do believe it, like, kind of a little bit about that, but when these guys take it to the point where they say that in the universe, everything... Because universe to them is God himself. Universe is also good and evil. Like, they won't make any separation between... And what I believe, right, is just that God is 100% good.
Yeah.
There's no evil in God, right?
Yeah.
So this is where there's a little bit of a conflict there. But
so they say like God is evil, or what? Is that their view?
I guess they don't say it in that way, but I guess that's kind of what it means. Like, it means that the universe, this was to them, that's God, because they believe that they themselves are part of the universe, so they themselves are part of God, so that everything is God. Like, me and you are one in this table, this room, outer space. Everything is all one God, being, God, and that everything inside of it has good and evil. Not that I believe it, right? But I understand the way of thinking behind it to a certain point, because it doesn't make sense. I mean,
everything is God, so at the end,
I mean, people, human beings, all have, like you said, the potential to be good and to be evil. So, and that aspect is kind of true.
Yeah. So let me tell you this, right? We have like como Hitler, Stalin, Genghis Khan, and these guys, evil types of figures. You can say that the initial eating of the fruit, right, gives you knowledge to recognize what is good and what is evil.
Okay.
Now, there are some human conditions, and you've heard of these social types, sociopaths,
Yeah.
and psychopaths.
Okay.
These are the two, right? So we have a filter, right? As cuenta que the eating of that fruit gave us that filter, so we know, right, what is good and what is evil, and we base that off of what it is that we're taught, what it is that we know as we're growing up, right? And we make a determination, and we're filtering, right? This is good and this is evil. This is what I should do and this is what I shouldn't do. Now these guys, right? Even though we all come from the same lineage, right? Going back to the beginning, Adam and Eve. This fruit, it didn't go for everybody. Like it didn't go. Like you've heard, like come on, there's this is like the bloodlines of Cain and Abel.
Oh, okay, I understand.
Some came from right. Así that los brothers, right? Abel and Cain,
Cain, yeah.
right? So some are descendants from Cain and some are descendants from Abel,
yeah.
right? And then so that's what it also is. So this fruit filter, right?
Doesn't
this
go
fruit
through.
filter, it skipped some people.
Oh, okay.
It
Is there
skips
like a
some
theory
people,
behind
so-
this whole thing? Okay, I never
Well,
heard this before.
this was a psychological analysis of things where like como a sociopath, he
Yeah.
doesn't recognize it, man.
Okay.
He doesn't recognize what is good.
Yeah.
He thinks, right? He or she thinks, okay, whatever they're doing, they don't care.
Yeah.
They don't care. Like if I hurt your feelings,
Yeah.
they'll just say it. They don't care. They don't have that filter. So this is IE where it's like this idea of the fruit thing. It doesn't apply. It skips some people. It completely skips them. And there's nothing you can say like there's nothing wrong with them, right? Because this is how it was in the beginning.
Yeah.
There was no knowledge of this stuff. They are the normal ones.
Yeah.
We are the abnormal ones, and this is where it comes back to schizophrenic types.
Okay.
You know, schizophrenics can see things that aren't there and stuff. And when they studied their minds, when they studied their brains in MRIs, they saw that their brains, the colors and the waves were more quicker. They were processing more
okay.
information, right? And so, and I've talked to this with my sister, right? Because she's studying to be a psychologist. And I told her, how do we know? How do we know that they aren't right? That they are the normal ones, right? They're quicker at thinking. Their minds is faster. And we're the dumb ones. And we can't see that there actually is somebody there, standing there,
Oh, okay.
right? And maybe they're able to access another dimension we cannot see, but they can because their brains are quicker. How do we know that they are better than us?
Yeah.
And we're saying that they're not, that they're not better than us, right? As when it comes to like health wise,
Yeah.
when it comes to health wise, we
Yeah,
give
no.
these people
Medication to suppress their.
to suppress that stuff. So
mind.
I told her that I was like, how do we know, right? Why would we suppress this? I was like, look at the data, and I was showing her like, aquí está, I have it right here. I was like, the schizophrenic types. Yeah, I saw an interview where one of them is just catatonic completely, bro. And this was another thing que le dije yo a ella. I was showing her this interview of this guy, and this is a video from back then.
Yeah.
And he's being interviewed, and the lady is asking him questions. And this is the guy, like his eyes are completely dead, like no expression in the face, and she's asking him questions. So she asks him like, "Why are you different?" And you have to say like he starts thinking before he gives an answer. Long pause. Well, I am different because, and that's how he talks. I see like I am different because an analytical talking point of thinking what was just asked, thinking about the response, and then laying it out in an analytical point. Le dije, us, we're like como dumb to talk,
Yeah.
right? You had like there's a verse, slow to speak.
Yeah.
So what is it?
Yeah.
Become slow to speak, quick to anger, right? What
slow
is
to
it?
anger. Slow to speak also.
Yeah, there's one. El slow to anger is the God
Something
one.
else, yeah.
Yeah, but el slow to speak. This one is I can't remember. It's from Proverbs, but it's
Yeah,
saying
yeah.
like be slow to speak, right?
Yeah.
Quick to listen
Yeah.
and slow to speak. I think that's what it says. So nosotros we're quick to speak,
Yeah,
right? Nosotros nos y luego
blurt
nos
everything
encendemos,
out.
right? We're just like, como no sabes qué, te vete a la chingada, right? And that's
This guy actually took his
this
time
guy
to
schizophrenic.
articulate
Yeah,
what he was thinking.
even though his brain is fast, he's like quick to listen, slow to speak, and it was like 10 seconds before we heard a response from this guy, right?
Oh,
In that interview, and I was telling her like, this to me, right? And I'm just looking at it, right? If I'm looking at this, and I tell her, and I'm like, this to me is somebody who's normal.
Maybe.
Even though they took a while, they thought about the question that was asked, and he gave a thorough answer, right?
Maybe he's just being misunderstood by
He
the
gave a
rest
thorough
of the
answer.
world.
Yeah, man. So like, hey, I was like, how do we know that we're not the stupid population?
Yeah.
The us can know we're not schizophrenic. How do we know that we're not the dumb ones?
Yeah.
Right? And she was like blown away from my.
What I wanted to mention, but before my mind went blank,
Yeah.
it was when we're talking about the yin yang, is that one of the things that I like about this concept is that, you know how a lot of people, when they do something wrong or whatever, something goes wrong, they blame the devil. Have you ever heard
sí,
like,
sí,
oh,
sí.
the devil made me do this, or
Yeah,
siempre la traen en contra del devil.
Yeah. Mhm.
But for me, it's like, take responsibility. You have the, to me, people
Yes.
have the potential to be evil or the devil sometimes.
Yeah.
Because we don't see the devil, we don't see
Yeah.
the works of what's going on, right? To me,
Yeah.
I don't even like to speak that much about it because
Yeah.
to me it doesn't make any sense. But when someone blames, the devil,
That's
or
because
take responsibility for your own actions, you know that you're capable of doing
good and
much
evil.
worse
Yeah.
things, man. And not taking the responsibility will lead you to do it again.
Oh yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. You
Like,
don't learn
I
anything.
messed up.
And this is where I said sociopaths, okay, they don't understand that concept. Then that's when they go into los meten a un mental asylum because
Yeah.
they have no,
they can't
socially,
differentiate.
they can't differentiate what they're doing is wrong. They don't have that filter ahí, so that's why they lock those guys up. So
Well,
when they go, they don't necessarily
so
like.
maybe you're onto something there, then.
Yeah, man. No, see, because they
But these are the guys that are committing like killings and stuff, no?
well, not it's because there are social types, and I think it's less than 4% of the population. I'm not sure about the number, and it's very hard to come across them because you don't know who they are. Yeah, and these aren't. I'm not like you see like como sociopaths, and you're thinking antisocial. That's not what I'm talking about here. You would think it like the person who's like quiet is the one that's gonna do these kind of things. No, this is a sociopath. This guy doesn't. He'll be normal. He'll look normal, right? But in reality, the stuff he does, like he doesn't. He has no awareness.
Yeah.
He has no awareness of the things he's doing. Like he'll just te manda la jodida. Like that's an example. He'll hurt someone and not realize that he's causing harm to that person.
He won't weigh the
he
balance
doesn't.
of like, the evil.
He's only he's only concerned about himself.
Okay.
He thinks that the world revolves around him,
Okay.
and so he's the center of the universe, and everybody else is just like an object
Okay.
to this person. That's sociopath types. Psychopaths are the ones that like like the movie Psycho, man. Yeah, it's like just go out on a killing spree.
Yeah.
That's a
Those are
psychopath.
psychos.
That's
Okay.
a psychopath, and so you know who those are because they the kid Adam Lanza who did the Sandy Hook thing, psychopath. Richard Ramirez who killed all the people in California, what did they call him, the Night Stalker, psychopath, right? He knew what he was doing was wrong. That's the difference. The sociopath does not. He doesn't know that filter.
Okay.
He doesn't have it. So we were talking about school shootings and we laid out some ideas what leads to these things, right? In this case, bullying. October is, besides being breast cancer awareness, right? And so any females that are listening to this podcast, I urge you to get screenings, right? Go out, go to the doctor. There's I think they even like Nuestra Clínica del Valle might even do this for free. And I'm not sure if that is correct, but I recommend any females listening, especially if you're approaching older age, anything above 40, 35, go out and get screened, right? Make sure everything is correct and they don't find any lumps in your breasts, which could lead to something worse, right? And just make sure that you do that. But besides that, October también is bullying awareness month.
Wow.
And so in this case, right, you said this kid was being bullied. And so here we have not an excuse, pero this bullying thing has been there since I was in
Forever.
school. It's been there since my parents were in school, and it's been there forever. And why is it, though? Why is it that this stuff is only in schools, though? You see, like where we work, can you imagine being bullied there as an adult?
Yeah.
It doesn't happen.
No.
Why does it happen in schools?
With kids?
Why? This
I
is so
don't know,
weird.
man, it is.
This is so weird. Friday there was a fight that broke out in where I work between some girls. It's like why where do they learn this stuff from? You know, where do these kids? You know, I don't get it. I've never understood the whole bullying concept, and I was actually a victim of bullying. Pero pues you eventually get over it. You know,
Yeah.
you don't get to this point where it's like, oh, I'm gonna take a gun to school.
Well,
and, I never got to that point
Yeah,
where,
'cause
and it was pretty bad, man.
It
I
was?
was bullied by not just guys, but girls también,
Okay.
right? So it never got to a point where it was like, oh, pues I'm gonna go and take revenge, right? It's like, come on, these are just I don't know, man. I honestly don't know what goes on in kids' minds. I was a kid once, and I can only say, like, for me, I was aware of the consequences. I knew that if I decided to retaliate, I was gonna get in trouble as well. So yo, mejor I just take it. I just take the thing. I just take the lickings, the beatings. If they would hurt me or lo que sea, I just take it, and I'm just like, como, whatever, you know. Pero pues I guess everybody's different, and everybody is different. Everybody reacts a different way to this stuff. Pero chingada, I honestly don't know anything that could prevent bullying. I honestly have no idea. Porque you can say no hagan esto, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you say. Yeah, they're gonna do whatever they do at the end. You have no control of that. So now I want to talk about vaccine mandates, and I know que we've been talking about vaccines quite a lot aquí in this podcast. But there was an ESPN reporter this past week who went on the Jay Cutler podcast, and she basically trashed, I guess, the company ESPN, and she said that wasn't right. And her words was the being mandated to go and get a vaccine working for ESPN was sick. This was her words, right? And so now, what are your ideas on this stuff being forced to get a vaccine? What do you think about this forcing people?
I don't agree at all. I know that people working in the government also
They're being forced.
they're being mandated. A lot of people that work in the what's it called, the border.
Oh, okay. Border Patrol.
Yeah.
También.
Yeah, they're being forced. If not, they'll send them home. There's a guy that said, no, pues there's a coworker that she was like a cleaning lady.
Yeah.
Just don't come back until you show proof of your vaccines. I don't agree with that at all, man.
Forcing people to.
I don't know what the whole. I know why. I mean, I don't know why they do it, but this should trigger a lot of people because, I'm gonna go straight into this, right? Forcing people to do something like this, like where you can't work anymore. I guess a lot of people thinking about the Bible, right? So even the vaccine itself, like it says, the Bible says that in those days there would be a mark of the beast.
Yes.
And that those who didn't get it would not be allowed to buy or sell. So this is not buy or sell. This is working, right? Just because you don't get a vaccine now, you're not going to be able to work. You're not going to be able to provide, bring food or whatever home.
Yeah.
So this should trigger a lot of people. But, both things, like mandating it.
Yeah.
The vaccine itself, like people don't want to get it. This is an issue of freedom of religion, right?
Yeah.
You get to, if you don't want to.
Well, freedoms in general.
Freedom in general, but freedom of religion. Yeah. I mean, I know a lot of people. We don't like to mention it because I guess it sounds like maybe silly to some people, but a lot of people are afraid to get the vaccine because they think, oh, this is the mark of the beast. This is the mark of the devil. I've heard it several times. I know a lot of people don't get it, especially Christian people. I've heard a lot of people in TikTok, people who are well known, recognized, people who are like influencers.
Yeah.
Say, oh, I'm not gonna get the vaccine. That's the mark of the beast. They themselves are saying it, right? So they're spreading this, making people afraid and stuff. And it's an issue. But even if like me and you, let's say, I know maybe you do believe in it. I don't believe that it is, but if a person comes and says, I am concerned and I don't want to get it just because it's my belief, then how are you're infringing that person's rights, right? Am I wrong?
Yeah, you're right, man. Yeah, because you have a freedom of you like these abortion peoples, right? They like killing babies, and that's what you do because you like the damn abortion bill, right? So what do they say? My body, my choice.
Yeah,
the same thing.
Right here.
I believe in the Constitution. I believe in freedoms. My body, my choice. If you don't want to get this thing, you don't have to. Now, this is what I've heard. And this is where the stupidity of mankind comes in, and all points of argument are thrown out the window. All common sense is thrown out the window, and all logic. And these are people who are educated. These are people who are in the medical field and have a way better knowledge of us, being pharmacy technicians. And I'm talking about pharmacists and doctors. This is what they say. And you tell me if this makes sense. I'm vaccinated, let's say, right? And I am. I have the vaccine. But let's say that you didn't have it. And then I say, Donald, you got to go get the vaccine because you have to protect me. And I already have the vaccine.
Yeah.
Does this make any sense to you?
No.
It defies all logic, again, and common sense. Because if I'm vaccinated, that means that I have immunity and you're not. So it doesn't matter if you have the vaccine or not, right?
Yeah.
I do. And so I am protected.
Yeah.
I'm protected. You're not.
Yeah.
So I don't worry about you.
Yeah.
Right? What is this argument about?
Here's
What is this argument about saying protect the vaccinated? You got to keep us safe. This doesn't make any sense, man.
Here's the thing, though. A lot of people are afraid of the government.
Yeah.
So they're afraid, like, they want to vaccinate me. They want to kill me. A lot of people were thinking, like, the government wants to kill people.
Yeah.
That's not the thing. It's the other way around. So the government wants to force the vaccines on the people so that the people won't die, because it's not convenient for a country to have a lot of people dying, or to have a slow rate of birth rates. So it's bad for the country itself. So we need to look at it this way. So, and if you look at it this way also, the government has too much power and is forcing people to do something that they don't want to do. If these people, they're free to decide whether they want it or not. And if they end up dying because of their choice, of their religion, because there's been a lot of a lot of times where because of a religious belief, people have died, right? I don't know, like different kinds of cults have decided to
end it.
So it's their decision, and if it affects the whole government, well, it's ni modo, right? But they will not allow it because, like I said, the government needs the people, right? So now it's not whether you want to get it or not. Now you have to get it. So we have too much government control there, I think.
At this point for me, I think all of this COVID stuff and vaccination y todo, I think it's a complete waste of time, complete waste of resources, and quite frankly, causing a panic that is unnecessary. Now there's a third booster.
For me, bro. Well, the need for so many like vaccines, boosters, and stuff. That's just for me. That's a topic about money. Company. An agreement of how many vaccines are going to be in total, and not enough people getting vaccinated. So okay, now let's get them out this way, and a third. That's what I see. Just money behind everything, like I was mentioning before. But the thing here is, I see the big picture. I know what they're trying to do, and they want to keep us safe. I trust. I believe that, right?
Yeah.
But if the person doesn't want your protection, doesn't want you to force them to do something, then you respect that person's decision. That's my thing. Like, I agree with everything that they're doing. Okay, we need to get I don't know how many percentage of people vaccinated so that this thing can go away. I agree with that. I want to get to that goal, but I'm not gonna force someone to do it. That's my thing. That's what triggers me. That's what should trigger everyone.
Forcing people,
because I believe in the vaccine. I got the vaccine and stuff, but I'm not gonna force it on someone else who doesn't want it. I respect their decisions, their beliefs. This is the main foundation of our whole country.
I hope that there's because there is a lot of money involved. I look at the money alone where we work, and I did the numbers, and I figured out this is how much profit then just that one pharmacy would make. Now just imagine everybody else. Just imagine the drug makers themselves, whoever made the vaccines, how much money they're making. And I thought about this the other day, that these people who are pushing this stuff, they have to be in some way or another, one way or another, they are connected to this financially.
They are, bro. I mean, why is there only one vaccine approved through the FDA right now when they all started at the same time, the same kind of technology? The vaccines work the exactly same way. Why is this the only one? They have a preference, bro. So, and now I'm going to get into this. I know people are already scared to get the vaccine, and I'm probably going to scare them even more. with this. I just a disclaimer before I start. I don't believe in this. This is just me talking.
I do believe in this. I know what he's gonna say.
Okay.
I do believe in this.
But disclaimer for me. I don't believe in this. Is me
Yeah.
just. I love conspiracy theories.
I believe this is the mark of the beast, bro. I believe this is the mark of the beast.
I love conspiracy theories, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna bring it up because of that, but I don't believe in it. So I'm
Yeah.
not gonna. I don't want to scare people.
Mhm.
This is just. I'm just gonna mention it because it's fun. But the only vaccine that's approved right now through the FDA, which one is it? Pfizer. How many doses of the Pfizer can you get right now? Most of the people.
3.
3. How many letters are in the word Pfizer? 6.
6, yes.
Okay, so
of them.
6 letters,
Yeah.
3 times.
Mm-hmm.
666.
Nah.
Okay. Why do they have to go three times, right?
Because the devil's in the
Okay.
details, bro.
Okay, but hold on. To take it even further,
Yeah.
Pfizer's a weird word in itself.
Yeah, it is.
It starts with letter P, but you don't even mention
Yeah,
the letter P doesn't even make a sound.
Purgatory.
It's Pfizer.
Purgatory.
So you
Fire.
could have spelled it Pfizer with F.
Yeah.
F-I-Z-E-R, Pfizer?
Pfizer. And
You only
anagram.
needed 5 letters. I think they just added the P just so they can make it 6.
Yeah.
But the F, bro, is a 6th letter of the alphabet as well.
Oh my god.
Count them.
Oh
A,
my God.
B, C, D, E, F.
shit.
6 letters. So, I mean, there's
Yeah, man. Yeah.
there's
The devil's in the
there's
details,
reason
man.
for people to be panicked out there. I
The
mean,
devil
if they
is
look
in-
at it, right?
The devil
I
is in
got
the
you thinking
details,
right
man.
now.
The devil is in the
No.
details.
I don't believe in this. Like
I
I said,
believe in it.
I don't
I
believe
believe
in
in
it because I believe you can find the number 666 in a lot of things if you look for it. They're in the logos of these major companies, all the companies they you
Disney.
see.
Disney's one.
And Disney, you'll see them. You'll see and the word Disney actually the way that it's spelled,
Yeah.
it has a lot of like little
little sixes,
squiggly lines. Yeah,
Six.
and they're everywhere. I don't know if you've ever seen like a circle with like lines going like a 3 lines going like it's everywhere, but they just do it differently. Like they'll modify it to look different, but it's the same thing. It's like 3 lines inside going round like that. So if you follow it, it's like 6, 6, 6.
Ah.
It's everywhere, bro. Like for me, I know that it's everywhere. I if you think about it, like you'll be scared of doing anything because the 666 is there. But I do believe it is in a lot of places because we have people who worship this number, who are like Satanists or whatever, and this
Fanatics.
number and
Yeah.
the people who believe in this, who worship this.
Yeah, pues coming into October, man. I mean, también this is
Exactly.
the witching month, también.
Yeah. So this number, obviously, for me, right, is gonna show up everywhere because
Yeah.
how could I say, like, if you believe something, right, and if you're superstitious or religious or whatever, or you worship some kind of thing, and you believe that this number has a certain form of power or whatever,
Yeah.
and if you use it, you'll be successful or whatever.
But it's
Imagine.
it's a human number. That's what the Bible.
Well,
says.
what the numbers, what the Bible says is this is the number of man.
Yeah, number of man created.
Yeah.
We created the vaccine.
Okay.
We created
You
this.
can
number.
you can go there as well.
We've created
Now,
our own demise.
this is the reason. This is the reason I don't believe. Now I'm gonna talk about like
Oh,
why
why
I
you don't
don't
believe.
why I don't believe. Right?
It's the mark. Okay, let's see.
No,
Yeah.
this is why I don't believe. Right? So, a mark, like I had mentioned before, do you believe the vaccine is the mark of the beast?
I do.
Well,
I
no. Why? Because the answer is in the question. The vaccine is not a mark. It's not marking you
It
in
is,
any way.
bro.
And another thing is,
It marks the
in the Bible it says,
DNA.
in the Bible it says, you will not be allowed to buy or sell without the mark, and the mark is going to be on the right hand or in the forehead. It doesn't mention the left arm or whatever. So it completely breaks the theory, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can if you can be extra cautious, you can be scared or whatever. But
But-
here's details, right?
Okay.
But another thing that I want to get into is why I don't think too much about it, and I'm not scared when I see like in symbols or signs or stores or whatever companies the number, or like even in this vaccine the number, maybe it's a coincidence, I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe it wasn't, but it's because in the Bible it's mentioned in Revelation. There's like 2 verses, bro, where it mentions it.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't give us much detail. There's not much time spent on it.
The mark.
Yeah. Like in Revelation, right? And here we are with very little information, trying to find out, wasting, like, spending our time trying to figure out what it is, when it's going to come. And I understand, bro, because we do have to be cautious. I mean, one of the things is we do have to be cautious because, and even in the way that this vaccine has come, where it's worldwide and it's mandatory and you're not allowed to even work for it, if anything, it's like a foreshadowing of what's to come, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like, whenever the mark does come, it's gonna be similar to what the vaccine is. Like, it's gonna be mandated. It's gonna be like that, you know.
Yeah.
So if anything, but the reason why I'm saying, like, what I'm trying to say is, we're spending too much time thinking about this when maybe God's own will wasn't for us to spend so much time, or to even try. Maybe we won't never figure it out, because why would He spend so little time on it? It's like two verses or whatever. But there is a lot of other things that we can focus our time and energy to counter that. And I'll talk about that a little bit later. But yeah, give me your thoughts.
So, God, bro, and all of this stuff, it works in a wonderful. It's beautiful stuff. This is some beautiful stuff. Everything I'm hearing is beautiful stuff. I believe this is the mark of the beast. I believe this thing is what people say they are now. Look at this.
Mm-hmm.
Look at this. Before 2019, right? Because this thing broke out in November 2019, and we caught wind of it in March of 2020. That's when we in the U.S. started to panic. Before this time, 2017, 2010, 2001, 91, every year, all the years before all of this, think about this. Before this became this panic stuff, there wasn't a concern or a need to look for Bible verses, or I need to look for God sources. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Now the conversation has started,
Mm-hmm.
and now people are talking about the Bible, and now people are talking about the mark of the beast. Before, there wasn't a mention of any of this stuff. Before, this wasn't a concern at all. But now you have a lot of people.
It actually was a joke. Like,
No.
whenever Christian
Yeah.
people mention it, people would make fun of them.
Now you have a lot of people. Before even all this, nobody would open the book. Nobody would try to make connections.
But that's another
Now-
thing that I want to talk about, right?
Mm.
So why people are focusing so much on this when they don't even know other things? Like, people
Yeah.
who aren't even Christian are scared about
See.
this. They don't even know what it means.
This is the beginning. This is the beginning of the end. This is what it looks like to me. This is the beginning of somebody who doesn't know, right? No, nosotros que we've read it, right? And maybe I don't have every scripture down, right? I forget some of them, but
Yeah.
then I go over it and I'm just like, okay, yes, I remember reading this. But this is the beginning of the end, and this is the last chance for me, in my opinion, for people to get to know what's going on, right? Because now you have a question.
Like I said,
Now
like,
you're
if
hearing
anything, it's like a foreshadowing
Yeah.
of things to come.
Now
right?
this is like the number of the beast, right? And let's say we didn't know about this. What the number of the beast? What is this? So you go into Revelations, right? And you start reading, and you're like, okay, so who is this? Oh, this is John. Okay, so this is the disciple John. And who was John? They're like, why is he the disciple? Okay, let me go back. Matthew, what is this? Oh, Matthew was another disciple, right? And so we have Matthew and Peter and John here.
An opportunity to learn.
So now you're
about
starting
all
to
these.
learn. Now this is the last chance. It is. This is the last calling. It is. Then from here, it is. For me, in my opinion, it is a way down. De aquí after this, I don't know what's gonna happen after this, but we're pushing it. And para me, and I've always said, even when I was a little kid, I don't know if you ever thought about this, but I remember que when I was little, like 7 years old, 8 years old, yo lloraba, bro, en la noche. Like, I'd be crying ahí, and I'd just be looking at the wall. And I couldn't sleep at night, and me worrying like, como, my parents are gonna die someday, and that's what would come to mind. Y ahí no me salía yo de ahí, and yori, and then me and mom, right? She'd like, come inside. She's like, ¿Qué pasa? Like, why are you crying? And I'm like, no, mom, pues es que like, un día like you and dad aren't gonna be here anymore, right? And it was sad, and I was crying. I don't know if you ever went through this,
Yeah,
right?
no, I guess it's normal for kids.
I assume that every kid goes through this, right? And so I remember thinking then that I didn't want to see that, right? I said, I don't want to see my parents die ever. I never want to have to go through that. And I said, it would be better if we all just go together. And so ever since I was a kid, that's always been my mindset. And so I said, wouldn't we be the lucky generation that gets to see this thing end as a total, right?
Yeah.
So where I wouldn't have to, and us as kids wouldn't have to deal with this grief, because I was thinking, like, I know it's not just me, pero pues like my little sister también was there. We would sleep in the same room, different beds. But I remember que when she'd hear me crying así, and she's like, why are you crying? And I would tell her, es que un día esto va a pasar. Y ella también, she'd start crying, right?
Okay.
And then I'm like, well, I don't want anybody else to go through this, so why can't we just end this? If it ever does come to an end, for it to all end together, right? And so, the way I've seen it is like the people who have passed away up to now. It's been people who, it's like the great calling. And so we have family members que ya están reunited. And so then when we pass, they're the ones that are going to catch us allá in the next life. Pero here I have the verse. Yeah. And I only read the King James Version. I don't read any other version.
Okay.
I think every other version besides the King James Version, in my opinion, is the work of the devil himself. Because the Word of God has to stay true to the original work. And in my view, the King James Version is the only original work.
If you think about it that way, bro, you should study how the King James Version was made, bro, and you'll be surprised.
I don't agree with the new version. I don't agree with the easy translatable versions. What do we know about versions? If I tell you a version of a story, right? Well, then this is Danny's version of a story. But then you hear it from somebody else and the detail changes. Yeah. The words change between these things.
But if you think about it, even the King James Version is a different version of the original.
In my opinion, the King James Version is the only true version. The only true version. And I'll tell you why. There is a verse in the New International Version, the one where the words are easier. Yeah. And they make a mention of Lucifer, son of the fallen, son of the morning star. Ese morning star, it translates also into Revelations when they mention Jesus. And they call Jesus también
Morning Star.
The Morning Star.
I've seen that also, but
in the King James Version, it doesn't
say that.
It doesn't do that. No, only in that one. So in my opinion, this is the only true one for me. Yeah. Now everybody is entitled to believe whatever they want. So me, when I'm looking at these verses, I read the King James Version, and this is what it says: "And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads." Now this is Revelations 13, 16 to 17. "And that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name." So it's not just the mark, bro. It's not just the mark. It's
the number.
The number or the name.
Or the name.
Or the name.
The number of his name.
The number of his name. Yeah, that's pretty scary, man. That's pretty scary stuff. That's pretty scary stuff. Right?
Let me maybe get you thinking a little bit outside the box, right? Because when you hear about it, and how can I say? I believe that is a literal thing that's going to happen, a mark, an actual mark. I don't believe that it's a symbol, right?
Okay.
A lot of people believe that it might be symbolic.
Yeah.
Right? And the reason is because in the Bible, if you study the Bible from the beginning, there's many times where it mentions having the name written on the right hand or in the forehead. Yeah. But it's talking about God's name.
Oh, okay.
It's talking about God's name or the Word of God. So he says, like in the Old Testament, it's like keep the word. I don't know exactly how it mentions it, but like keep the word in your right hand and in your forehead so you won't forget it or something like that. And actual Jewish tradition actually practices having actual scripture and like a leather, kind of like a string. How would you call it?
Oh, like a bookmark is a thing, or
it's like a long leather strap.
Okay.
They'll wrap it around their arm, their right hand,
I've seen that.
and they'll wrap it around their foreheads with actual scripture, words from the Bible, from the scripture, and they'll just have it there. They'll take like this interpretation of what God mentioned, literal, and they'll put it there. Yeah. And what that represents is they're meditating on the Word of God, on the words that are written on their hand and the words that are written on their forehead, and this is practiced in Jewish tradition, right?
Okay.
But we're not Jewish, but this symbolically it applies to us as well. And it mentions, even in Revelation, it mentions that God will also mark in the foreheads of those who received God or something like that. He will mark His name on their foreheads, and this is more of a symbolic mark. Yeah. That only He can see. He doesn't say like that people will notice it or anything. He'll just like mark them with my name. And if you go back to the Bible and everything, we believe, all of us who have been saved, right, that we have been sealed. I don't ever heard that word, sealed by the Holy Spirit. And what that means is you've been sealed, you've been marked by God in your forehead. So you have a sign in your head that God sees and sees that you're different. You are a son of God, right? Yeah. So this is a mark on your head. Yeah. It's a symbolic. It's a symbol. It's not actually something literal that we have there that you can see. Yeah. But God sees it, right? And He calls it a mark on the forehead. Yeah. And when if we go also to when the Passover,
Okay.
when he says mark your
Oh,
the doors,
Mhm.
and then I'll pass over and
Death
nothing will
pass
happen
over
to you.
Yeah,
So
skip you, yeah.
they compare kind of to this, like the people who are his children and obey him,
Command.
God will see that those are his children and he'll go pass
Yeah.
over them and nothing will happen to them. So
Well, death. It was
and
death.
with death, yeah. In Revelation, when he talks about, he mentions the mark of the beast and all that, and those who are going to be marked by the devil, right?
Mhm.
But then he also mentions that his children would be marked with his name
Yeah.
in the forehead, and then nothing will happen to those. When he sends out spirits, like to destroy
Pero
cities or whatever.
The beast is not the devil, no. The beast is the beast that comes out of the sea, no.
Well, the thing is, it's complicated.
The beast
bro,
is not the devil
because there's the
Antichrist
the
and
beast, the Antichrist, and all that.
And then
I don't
Satan
know how
is
all that works,
like
but
three
it's a evil. Like all three of them.
It's
are
a
evil.
mockery. You have to remember because it's a mockery. So you have the
Yeah,
Son,
yeah,
the
yeah.
Holy Spirit, and God, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Acá es three
Son
también.
three
It's
también.
Satan and it's
the statue that moves,
Sí,
and then
yeah.
the beast, and then the
Mhm.
Antichrist.
Yeah.
Right. But in Revelation, what it says
Mm-hmm.
is that like whenever God sends like a spirit or something to destroy a city or something,
Yeah.
He'll mention like, "Don't touch the ones who have my name
Sí.
in their foreheads,"
Yeah.
or something like that.
Mhm.
Right. So in this
Yeah.
case, it's symbolic. So what if we're missing the point? Like like I said, I believe that it is something literal because
Yeah.
it mentions a mark, and I
Mhm.
believe the way what it says there. But what if we're wrong? What if it is symbolic? And if having the mark of God in our heads, it means that we have chosen to obey and follow God. What if having the mark of the devil just means that you've decided to follow your own way, in the way of the world, in the way of
Yeah.
the rest of the people, you know?
Mhm.
And not like at literal marking, because I imagine, bro, that it's not going to be that simple where you can tell like, oh, I'm not going to get that, because even in the Bible says even those
Yeah.
who are the children of God will be confused, like they'll make the wrong
Mhm.
choice.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So it's not going to be that easy, bro. And
Yeah.
the thing is, this is my thing. Why do we spend so much time thinking like, oh, what is this? The mark of the devil, and how can I avoid this? Like, you spend so much of your energy when you don't even know if you might already have it, right?
Yeah,
A lot of
yeah.
people say that it's already been out or whatever. And instead, you could focus on getting marked by God,
Yeah.
sealed by God,
Mhm.
which will counter everything else. And how do you do that? You just
Yeah.
follow God's commandments, follow God, get to know God, be saved by God, and you don't have to worry about this,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
but here I am trying to like explain how
Decipher
sometimes we
things.
look at it from a
Different
wrong
angles.
perspective. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm trying to say?
From different perspectives,
Yeah.
yeah. So, yo lo que sé is, like in the Bible, anytime that people have tried to do things themselves, they get struck down by God. So, we caused this pandemic ourselves. We did it ourselves. And we decided to come up with an answer ourselves. And so, we're about to get struck down by God also. So, how do I know this? When the Tower of Babel, yeah, when people, right, they completely ignored God, and now they're like, como, let's reach to the heavens. And so they're working together to go up, right? And so this is people doing their own thing again. What happens? They got struck down by God. So now here in this case, this pandemic, we caused it. We came up with our own answer. And so aquí, this is like, in my opinion, God would look at it like arrogance, causing our own problem and coming up with a solution. And so aquí esta cosa, this is what we get now. If I was the devil, right, and I wanted to win, and I've told you this before, right, and the easiest way for me to win, I would have gone this route.
Okay.
I would have, right, injected as many people as I could. I would have given my mark to all these people.
Now there's another thing, bro,
This is what I would have done.
that's scary that I hadn't mentioned behind that whole conspiracy theory that I mentioned, right? It's been how long, bro, since the pandemic started?
About a year and a half.
Let's mention whenever it originated. It was like November or December 2019.
19, yeah.
So it's December 2020. December 2021 would be this year. That'd be 2 years. Some people are predicting for the pandemic to end in one more year, 3 years. Now, we haven't mentioned when like the tribulation is 3.5 years of peace. We're coming, from when the vaccine starts.
Yeah.
3 years and a half.
Mm-hmm.
If it ends, if the pandemic ends even in 3 years and a half from now.
Yeah.
So then, like, what are the next 3.5 years
Yeah.
could have? Something that I that I didn't mention before that it's also connected to that conspiracy
Aquí lo
theory.
que-
But not that I believe in it, but I'm just trying to.
I think a lot of like revelations, porque you have to remember que John,
Yeah.
right? While all of this is going down, all of this is written in Revelations. John is in heaven,
Yeah.
right? He's in heaven and he's before the, what is it? The order of angels, los que cantan. There's an order. It's not the Nephilim, is it?
Cherub?
It's I can't remember who it is, but these are the angels. Que they're just around. Some 4 of them, 4 beasts,
Cherubims, I think.
cherubims.
Cherubims
Or cherubs, something like that. I don't know who they are. But there's 4 of them, and they're around the throne, and all they do is holy, 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 right? And that's all they're doing.
Yeah.
And they're just repeating that. So while John is there, then you have to remember, okay, it's always, this was the number I heard. This was what I saw.
Yeah.
This was what I interpreted, right?
Yeah.
So he's jotting down the stuff, okay? So we don't know if it is 144,000, right? That's one of the numbers, right? And this is where, like, como the, what is it? What do they call the... chinetas, these types witnesses, the Jehovah Witnesses, they believe que only 144,000 are going to be saved, only them. And then it says 12,000 from each tribe. So 12,000 from each tribe, except the tribe of Dan, right? So it's the tribe of Judah and all the tribes of Israel, 12,000 from each. And at the end, right? So there's 12 times 12,000 is 144,000, except in the tribe of Dan. He's saying that the Antichrist comes from the tribe of Dan. That's what the Revelation says. And so this is what scares me. This is what scares me because my name is close to that, right?
Dead.
My name is close to that. And so when I look at this stuff, bro, and I'm just like, I see like almost certain patterns, and I see, right, because you can recognize certain things, and I'm just like, Dios santo, like, Diosito no lo mande, right? But I've always said, like, if I ever was, right, and I'm faithful to whatever cause it is. Let's say que I was being called. Let's say that I was called to serve Satan, right, or to serve Lucifer, right. What I would do is I'd be a very faithful servant, right. I'd be like, oh yes, right, and I'd serve the devil y todo, and I'd be a faithful, right, and go as high as I could into the armies of that, become a general, 5-star general if you could, in that army. And then what would I do? Once I was up there, I'd take the whole thing down. I'd be like, doesn't matter, right? Like I'd essentially do what Lucifer did with God, right? Como Lucifer thought about like como overthrowing God. If I was in hell, bro, I'd do the same thing. I'd be like, I'm gonna overthrow this guy. Because those are the examples we have, man.
Yeah.
Right? And so you honestly think it doesn't end there. We have angel who overthrew. Look at this. An angel who overthrew the creator. And then the creator made humans, and we're below, right, in the order of who is more powerful, right? The most loved, no, but the most powerful, right? We're third order, right? So we overthrow the devil, and then the devil tried to overthrow God, and so that's how it is. So then my whole view has always been defeat the devil, overthrow him, get him out of there. You have no power here, you know. It's always like a fight for me. Like I'm not gonna give way. I'm not gonna give this thing power. It has no power in my life.
For the way that I believe also is I don't give any credit.
Yeah.
Because I believe if Jesus finished everything in the cross, that's it. I don't have to worry about this guy. This guy's defeated.
He's defeated, man. Yeah.
I don't worry. That's why I don't mention like this or that, or like I said before, people blaming the devil. Oh, he did this. No, you did this.
For the people who don't know, for the people who are, and they're called in the King James version, they're called not simpletons. They're called fools.
Oh, and another thing, bro, where like in church, and not saying not my church, like different kind of churches where I've seen people that like the way that they preach is always like they're always talking about the devil, like they worship the devil or something. Like don't let the devil do this or don't let the devil do that. The devil has this power. The devil has that power. Don't let him.
Giving him an excuse.
They're always talking about it. Don't mentioning his name more than the name of God. Like I believe completely opposite that. I don't even think that he even needs to be mentioned at all. Obviously, like even Jesus himself mentions him and the Gospels a bunch of times. But I believe that when he like I said in the cross defeated him and everything.
Yeah.
There's no need to mention. All you need to mention is the name of Jesus. That's all you need to be saved. You don't have to be worried about what the devil's gonna do or whatever's gonna happen. You don't have to worry about that. And a lot of things that I see wrong is that a lot of people pay too much of their focus and energy on the devil when he doesn't even deserve it.
Now I'll tell you this. This is my view on that entity. Donde quiera que está Dios, El diablo también está. Eso es like it's a huevo. Like there is no way around it.
I don't believe
in
it. I
church.
don't believe that way. But
I've already told what my view is. If there's good, evil is also there.
I don't think the same way, bro. Because you're giving too much power, as de cuenta, to the devil. The devil is not omnipresent the way God is.
Mm-hmm.
The devil was created.
Well, in this world, the devil is given domain in this world, right? Not of the entire creation, but of this domain, and we happen to be in his domain. So this is his playground, and so we happen to be here. So while we're here, he has reign, or he has domain. So far as whatever God has allowed him to do, he has that authority, right? Because God allowed him to do certain. He allowed certain things to happen to Job. So whatever happened to Job can happen to us, right? And so he has this kind of power. Now, is he the ultimate winner at the end? No, we already know that. So in my view, is he's everywhere. También. And you said like we can look for sixes here and we would find him in this room, right? He is everywhere. We have to acknowledge that now. Does he make you do anything? No. He doesn't make you do anything. He doesn't go into your... I don't believe in possessions or demons or that kind of stuff. I think is that what I was talking about? Okay, all of us have that power to be evil, and how much you let that out, that's entirely up to you. Now, nosotros aquí, what can the devil do, right? Well, what does he do to Job, right? He took away his family, he took away all of those things. That stuff can happen to us, right? So we have to acknowledge that. So what can happen is like, and this is usually what happens. And so your original question was, is practicing Christian, like people say that is hard, like practicing the Christian faith. Now, this is what does happen. Suppose that you were the devil. Suppose. And I said, I'm going to be good, right? I'm going to do all the good things. Pues who's the devil, right? The devil is the accuser, right?
Yeah.
The term Satan means the accuser. So now you need to find something. You need to find something against this person, right?
Yeah.
So then it's like, okay, this person is saying that they're good. Test them. Right? Job is all perfect and all this. Oh, yeah, he is, but because you gave him all this stuff, right? Why wouldn't he worship you, right? You gave him everything he has. Tú se lo has dado, right? If you were to take that away, I'm pretty sure he'd cuss you out. At the end, he did, right? At the end, he questioned God.
Questions, yeah.
And so ahí, that alone, that was enough of a sin to be like, como, who the hell are you to question me? Like, como, I'm the all-powerful. And that's what Satan was pushing. Not que Job would eventually like como just abandon God completely, but Satan pushed it enough to where it's like question the creator. Like so he pushed him to that point. So Satan aquí, right? Like we're saying like a new person that comes into this stuff. Oh, I'm gonna completely change the leaf. It's gonna be a battle. Being a Christian is a battle. Every day is a battle. It's a battle of all kinds of sin you can imagine, from the simplest of stuff, the simplest of things that you wouldn't even recognize. And yeah, you said that Jesus came and made things easier. He didn't. He made things worse. At the end, you're saved. The path to salvation is easy, pero the committing of sins, he made them worse. And I've told you that, like before it was an eye for an eye and this and that, right? And then so it was like physical. And then Jesus said, oh, if you hated the brother, you already killed him in your heart, ya lo mataste. So he made it worse. Now aquí el diablo, right? He's like, you're saying you're going to be better, and he's the first thing is going to be like, test them. I'm going to test you now. So let's say maybe a problem was being faithful to a spouse, right? Let's say that was a problem. Now, what is the devil going to do? He's going to te va a aventar. Now, not on purpose, right? Like, I'm not saying that the devil's going to come physically and put some hot model in front of you, right? And she's going to be naked, all. But it'll be something like this. It'll be something like this where you'll come across somebody in the past, somebody who you used to have a crush on, somebody who you wouldn't think you'd ever see again, right? And this is just an example, and it'll be there. If it's something that has to do with drugs, it'll be there. And it's just going to be there. I see, like, basta ahí, like, people who are, like, como alcoholics, right? Yeah, what do? Like, take alcohol away from them. Now, if you put temptation before their pass aquí, now, are you strong enough? This is the test. Are you strong enough to say no? Are you strong enough to say you have no power over me?
Yeah.
Are you strong enough to like como throw this in the sink and say I defeated you already with the power of Christ, right?
Yeah.
I'm able to overcome this thing.
Yeah.
And that, i.e., people who say that practicing, in my view, when you ask this question, is practicing Christianity hard? it is a battle. That's all I can say.
Okay.
It's a battle. And so you cannot leave, right? You have to have more wins. Every battle at the end, you're learning from things. And so every day, it's just this. It's a battle.
Okay. All right. I understand your point of view, but let me now talk about why I wanted to talk about this, right? In my views, I'm only gonna talk about my experience, right?
Yes,
and
yes,
this is why I believe this
Yeah.
way, not because
Uh-huh.
just because I say that it is this way, or whatever.
From your own
my
experience,
own
you're drawing your
experience,
own
my own
experiences.
life experience, bro,
Okay.
because there's a time in my life, bro, when it was
Yeah.
really hard, bro,
Oh, yeah.
for me to be a Christian. When the words that some preacher said
Yeah.
that said following God is not going to be easy, and you're going to have choices to make, and there are going to be tests coming, and the devil gets mad when you follow Jesus, and he's going to be after you, and
Yeah.
all those things, bro. They were real in my life. So
Oh, they
It
were
was hard.
That was real. Like what he was saying was.
what it was real, yeah. I mean,
Like it was taking it like literal. like,
everything,
this is,
everything
yeah.
that he was saying from in my life was real
Yeah.
because I wanted to do good, and like you said, there was temptation always
Yeah,
there.
always there.
Everything that I used to do or like doing was right there, and I had no power over
Yeah.
it. I was weak,
Mhm.
and it drove me to a point, bro, to question. Where it drove me to the point when this really was what I consider my turning point in my life.
Yeah.
To kneel before God and say, kind of, even to the point to almost decide to walk away and say, I can't do this.
Yeah.
And for me, it was like, I keep trying every day, every week.
Mm-hmm.
Because back then, bro, when I was young, let's say I was in school or whatever, I was, you've heard about lukewarm, right? Don't be lukewarm because I'll spit you out of my mouth and all that. Like, don't
Oh yes, yes, yes.
be hot or be cold. Well, back then, I was hot and I was cold, right?
Yeah.
I was like in and I was out, and I was all in for God. Sunday, come Friday, I was all in for. I'm gonna say the devil, but I'm gonna say like a human like pleasures or
Rebel
human,
life, the rebel life.
Not so much rebel, but it's just like human. How could I call it? Come on, just the human flesh, the desires of the flesh, desires of the flesh.
Okay.
And I was like, how am I ever gonna overcome this? Like, I can't. I years in this kind of cycle, right?
Yeah.
And I was a Christian. And
Well, let me ask you this: had you read anything up to that point on your own, or were you just relying on a preacher?
No. I had read.
You had read.
I've always read.
Did you understand what you had read though?
Well,
Or were you relying on
understand it to a certain extent, like because the way like what I know right now about the Bible is transforming every day. Like I've read this chapter or this verse a bunch of times, and I've given my interpretation of it.
And an interpretation
but then
changes.
some other time I read it and I'm like, wow.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. So back then, yes, I read the Bible, and what of the verses that they use, they're true. So they're backing up what they say. And I got to a point where I was like, I don't want to be the person who is making you look bad. Like I'm the person who comes to church and I love here and everything, but when I'm out there, I'm setting a bad example for everybody that I hang out with. Like if they get lost or whatever because of me, like what they're seeing me doing, like I don't want to be that person. I was like, I think that it's time for me to leave. Like and until I make 100% decision for me to be perfect and to be in your house, right? And be a perfect servant. I thought about that word, right? Perfect.
Were they pushing perfection?
Huh?
Were they pushing perfection? Who put this idea into you?
Not necessarily like, but yeah, like I guess everywhere where I've attended, it feels like you need to be perfect.
Preachers were preaching perfection, okay?
Yeah, kind of. Right. I guess in a certain, like to me, that's the way that it felt. Like if I did any little thing, like I was worthy of, or not worthy of of salvation or whatever.
Yeah.
And then, so this thought came to my mind, like I need to be perfect, right? And I never been able to achieve that. And when I thought about it, like who really is perfect, and I thought about a lot of people that I knew and then that had failed, and people who are like pastors and stuff, and even and then I heard
pastors failing también.
Yeah, and I was like, who's gonna be saved then, right? Who?
Yeah.
Nobody. And then and I read the story of Job, bro, and that story is very important also to I want to mention what I think about that story later on. But I was like, Job was perfect and he was put through this test. So even more doubts in my mind, right? But then I guess like through a revelation from God or something, I started to feel like, well, in my mind, I'm a guy who uses like numbers in my life, like weighing the balances. And I was like, this is my decision. If I leave and something happens to me, I have no chance. I left God, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no hope for me.
Yeah.
If I stay, and even though I don't get it right, I just keep trying, and eventually I'll get it right, or maybe at the end, that even if it's the last moment, the last second, if I get it right, then at least I have that hope, you know.
Yeah.
So that's where I started saying, you know what, like, I'm not gonna be dumb and decide the way that I have no chance, right?
Yeah.
No hope. So I'm gonna keep trying. But then when I was there, like some stuff came to my mind. Like first, God, like the way what I felt God spoke to me was like, be honest with me, speak from your heart to me. Like I know everything. What I felt God saying to me is like, I know everything that you're holding on to, and you don't want to speak about it. If I already know it, like I don't want you to speak about it because of me. I want you to speak about it because of you, for your own sake.
Let it out,
for your own sake. So I was like, okay. And for me, it was very awkward, bro. Kind of one of my problems was drinking. I'm not an alcoholic. I never had a problem. Like I can't stop drinking or no.
Partying and stuff.
I loved hanging out with my friends and having like fun time.
Yeah.
Being in that state, like a little bit buzzed or whatever, just having a fun time. So for me, like it looks bad.
Yeah.
It looks bad to be out drinking and being a Christian, or like for me, right? So that's what one of my problems is. There's still many, right? But so what I felt like I had to say to God was like, one of the reasons I guess I can't stop drinking is because I like it. Right, so it's awkward to tell that to God, right? How are you gonna tell me you like doing something wrong, right?
Yeah.
So for me, at that point, it felt awkward. I had never done anything like that. Like for me, prayer was always like, "Well, forgive me, but not in detail for why."
For why?
Right?
Yeah. Okay.
But at that point, I didn't feel like God was asking me to ask for forgiveness for that. It was just like
confession.
Yeah, like I like doing this, and I felt awkward. But then I started to feel like peace in my heart. I was like, okay, so. I'm being honest with God. So I guess also like in repentance, it takes like you recognizing
there's a
what's
problem.
wrong. Yeah. And it started with honesty. And then was in my mind, it was like, it's really hard, right? It's really hard. So is it really hard? That's what I want, like another question in that prayer to God. And it wasn't answered like right then and there, but like a peace came over me to say like search in the Bible, or like look for why, like if it is hard or not. So after that, I started my journey, right, reading and stuff, and just looking at things. Yeah. And one of the things, like in my experience, before I read the verse in my life, was God has always been there. Like, because even if I was with my friends drinking, at that point I was thinking about God. Right, like I'm not supposed to be doing this. But I would look up at the sky even. I was like, I'm sorry, right? But thank you for this day. Thank you for this life. Thank you because I have life and health. Protect me. I'm not supposed to be doing this. But I would always be thinking about God at all times. But what I saw was like, even when I'm doing something wrong, God has been good to me. So that's a fact that I can say from my life experience that when I'm bad, God's still good. God's not good to me because I'm good, or bad to me because I'm bad. God is good to me when I'm good and when I'm bad.
And when you're bad, okay, yeah.
Okay? So like they say, there's also a saying that I would say in my head, like God makes it rain over good and evil. Like he's the same. Yeah. So, and then I guess also what changed my way of thinking was like when I had children, because when you're a father, and it says that God loves us with fatherly love, right? Or even higher than that. Yeah. It's like, it doesn't matter, like whenever they make mistakes or whatever, you don't stop loving them. Like, you love them the same, right? Yeah. So, okay, so I started thinking about those things, and then I started searching in the Bible, and then what the verse that I came to is I had already read it a bunch of times before, but this time, it just blew me away. So, and in that verse is where it says, "Come to me, all you who are heavy burdened. Venid a mí todos los que están cansados. And I will give you rest. Yo los haré descansar." And I'm like, okay, first that verse, so I'll give you rest. So like we're tired, he's gonna give us rest. And then he goes on to say, "Take on my yoke." Right? Is that what it is? Take on, and in español is like, "Toma mi yugo, porque mi yugo es fácil y ligera mi carga." Take on my yoke because it's easy and light, I guess. Okay. Ligera mi carga. All right. So that was a clue right there. Like, it's easy. It mentions it right there. Yeah. Like, take on my yoke because it's easy. Y ligera mi carga. So I was like, I think he's speaking to me right here. Like, he's telling me that it's easy. Yeah. It's not supposed to be hard. And then the next verse says, learn from me that I am of humble spirit or something like that.
Okay.
Aprende de mí que soy humilde de espíritu and find peace in your heart. When I read that, bro, I was like, because a lot of people, and this is the way why people preach this way.
Yeah.
Because they see God as a judging God. Like, you do wrong, you'll get wrong. You do right, you get right. So they're always preaching to like...
Which is what happened to Job, no? When his friends came and they were like, esto es lo que te está pasando por una razón.
Well, that's what the friends, what his friends were saying.
Yeah.
But he never did anything.
Yeah, he never did anything wrong. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's what we think God is like.
Okay, So people like are always, they live their lives. Even I would live my life this way, or preachers would preach around this, like kind of living in fear. Like God, yeah, he's good and everything, but if you do something wrong, like
there's no
God is out to get you. God will get you.
Te va a cagar,
Or te va a castigar. Algo te va a pasar. Like there's consequences to everything. So you live your life like that, right? So when I read this verse, what it meant to me was like, learn from me that I am of humble spirit and find peace in your heart. What I learned from that was God is not out to get you, waiting for you to fail just to get you. God he's not like that.
Yeah.
What he loves you through whatever you decide to do. You could decide to be a rebel and drag your life, your own life, down to even hell if you want to. God will never stop loving you. That's your own decision, right? But what I got was, when you find out that this is the way God is, you'll find peace in your heart. So when I started learning that, I was like, okay, so now I don't have to be so worried that God is out to get me. Like, and then I remember when I prayed that prayer, like being honest to God about everything that I did, I decided, I was like, God's not going to do anything to me. Like, I'm free. Like, I'm free.
And this was before meeting your wife and having kids?
No, I already met my wife. And I was a Christian. Like,
okay. But you hadn't had kids yet. Were you married already?
I think I had my first girl already. I think.
Okay. So this is like the beginning también awakening ahí during this time.
Yeah. Because I've been Christian like a long time. But when something like really changed in my life to where like I can see a difference, where now I believe that I'm saved. I have peace in my heart. I don't have... I don't have temptations, bro. Like... I don't believe that they have power over me. How could I?
Like they have no power over you.
Like you said, like if there's I used to drink a lot, and now there's people like drinking in front of me and stuff, and I have no problem, like nothing, like I don't feel anything. But it all started because of me believing this, believing that God is not out to get me. God is not out to make it hard on me or to test me, or you know, he's gonna be good and he's gonna be a loving God no matter what I do. So that started to free me up. Like, I'm free from this slavery. And that's what God says that he does. He frees you from the law. He says that you're above the law. And we've talked about this a lot before. So when I started believing this, it could have done two things. Like, if you take it the wrong way, you keep doing bad things because God's there. But that's the wrong mentality. That's not even the Christian mentality. That's against that. But if you take it the right way, now all these things that you do, they don't even mean anything. Like, they don't have no power over you. And then you just start living your life for God, like knowing that God is always with you. Like, he's your friend, he's by your side. And he's and following God starts to become easy. Like, I guess that's what it felt like to me. Like, it was a pressure release from me. Like, I didn't have to perform. I didn't have to do something to make God love me, like, or not do something so that God would love me.
He was there.
He's there either way. And that's what really changed my life. So, and another verse from the Bible that I want to mention that backs this up is Psalms 23. And that's the very first chapter that I learned in the Bible ever. And I never seen it this way before, right? Until a few years when that happened.
Pull that up.
And so the first verse starts by saying, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." Let me see, because I learned Spanish. El Jehová es mi pastor, nada me faltará. Junto a aguas de reposo me pastoreará. Is that what it says?
Yeah.
He
makes me lie down in green pastures.
Oh, he makes me lie down in green pastures. So read verse 1.
So the first one is, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want.
Next one.
He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters.
Okay, espérame tantito. So, in Spanish, it says... en lugares de delicados pastos me harás descansar. So lay down, right?
Yeah.
And Spanish is descansar.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as like rest.
Yes.
It's not work anymore. It's
Yeah. No,
rest.
No. Yeah. Lie down. Yeah.
So it's easy to rest, right? Instead of it like it
Yeah.
being hard to work. And then he leads me beside still waters. In Spanish is junto aguas de reposo me pastorearás. Reposo means the same thing as rest.
Yeah.
So these verses, like these words were popping out to me as like God wants us to be at rest.
Like David, right? Because this was David's song, and he's comparing himself to a sheep, right? Because he said, the Lord is my
he's
shepherd.
comparing, so keep going.
Yeah, so then it says, He restoreth my soul, He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for His name's sake.
And even though I walk,
y lo dice, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death,
I will fear no evil, for God is with me, or for you are with me. And then the next one,
thy rod and thy staff,
shall
they comfort me,
in the presence of my enemies.
And thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies.
So right there, that verse also, like when I was reading this chapter after I learned this, like all these verses were jumping out, like in the presence of my enemies, in the presence of temptation, in the presence of tests and all this, you prepare a table before me. So what symbolically, right? You sit down at the table. Yeah. You sit down to rest, and you're having a meal. You're enjoying. When things are going wrong or your enemies are around you, you're sitting down, you're enjoying because God is fighting your fights, and you're at peace and you're at rest. Yeah. So this whole chapter was backing up what I learned in this other verse, right? So I started to learn that God wants us to be at rest. And there's another verse, I think it's another Psalm that says, and this is God speaking to Jesus, but you can apply it to the church as well. It says, siéntate or sit down hasta que ponga por estrado hasta que ponga a tus enemigos por estrado de tus pies. So like sit down until I put all your enemies under your feet. Yeah. So God is doing all the work. He's saying you sit down. Yeah. I'm gonna take care of all your enemies and put them under your feet. You won't have to do anything, bro. So when I started learning this, my life started to change. It's not hard anymore. Like I enjoy actually being a Christian. It's not like something that I cry about at night or that I'm struggling with every day. Like stressing out. And another thing that I thought about was like it makes sense because imagine a new person coming to church, bro. Yeah. Brand new. Well, first of all, there's a reason that person is searching God. He already has problems. His life is already hard. Yeah. He comes into church to try to find answers, and then the preacher up there is saying, become a Christian. But this is when life starts to become hard. Tests are going to come. The devil's going to be upset. What the person, you think the person's gonna want to do this?
What kind of encouragement is that crap?
This is when God says that these are the people like bring all your heavy burden. Yeah, I will give you rest.
Now, good preachers do this, bro. Porque I've been to Baptist churches and stuff, and they know their flock. These guys, the ones that are good, and if they see a new face in there, they welcome me. Like they say, I see some new faces. Yeah. Like, and they'll say like como they won't say that crap. Like, como yo, when I went to a Baptist church, this was maybe 2-3 years ago. This was the second church I've been to since my journey started. Yeah. The third one was allá con Joel Osteen. And he saw that I was new ahí. He saw me, my mom, and my grandma ahí, and he's like, there's some new faces in there, right? And he's like, he didn't say this crap. Now, going back to this, you have a new person, ¿verdad? And you hear this stuff and we're saying, pues, what kind of encouragement is this? It's like anything else. You practice at something more than enough and you become better at it. Now, in the beginning, I'll go back to when you first were a pharmacy technician. It's scary, right? You don't know what's going on. You don't know rejections, prior authorization. What is that, right? Now, this is just me making a metaphor, right? Eventually, with enough practice and enough seeing, and this is what it's called practicing Christian, with enough practice and enough seeing the thing over and over, you become a master of it. And you become so much of a master that now you can become a preacher type, if you could. And you become a teacher and you're able to this is what it is, this is what it means, and this is how you solve it. You don't, a new person, like we have a friend, este Joan, and we don't tell him oh, tú vas a venir aquí, bro, and everything is crap, and this is this is hard, and this is the hardest job ever, and you're not going to understand anything. I've been here for 4 years, and I don't understand what's going on. We don't do that. What kind of encouragement is that, right? Nobody would want to become a pharmacy technician. Nobody would want to become anything at this point. So there's a verse in Proverbs que dice, as iron sharpens iron, so shall a man sharpen another man. And this applies to practicing Christian. You are, in a sense, every time you open the Bible, every time you listen to a preacher, and I'm talking about a good Bible-based preacher church, right? All of these are like you're lifting weights. you're all of these things, not physically,
Yeah.
but spiritually, right? Spiritually, you are weak. Spiritually, you're a little baby, right? You're crawling. You're barely starting to get to this, and there comes a point que you become stronger. You become stronger and stronger, and then and I'm not saying que you don't need any of this anymore, pero pues this just affirms everything else. At the end, you just become so strong que, like you said, now you see alcohol and you're not even tempted by it anymore. Where before it would have been a problem.
Yeah.
When you were just weak, when you were baby steps, now it's just like, I don't need you, right?
Yeah.
I'm stronger than you. Like, this is nothing for me. And so this is what it is. Practicing being a Christian is not hard. It is a battle. It is a workout. You have to think of it like that.
And another thing that you said was that Jesus came to make it more hard because of the sin. It becomes more sinful and everything.
Yeah.
But in the way that I see it, right, is he came to simplify things and make it easier because
Salvation.
before when we needed to follow all the commandments, now he says now you only have two: love God and love your neighbor as yourself. That's it. That's all
it.
you had to follow. So that's easy, bro. But we make it hard. We can make it hard now. When people are mentioning this in church, bro, this is the reason behind it. Like whenever let's say I'm a preacher, I'm preaching. It's gonna be hard. It's not gonna be easy. You're gonna have to go through this. You're gonna have to go through that. What they're really saying is, I went through that, right? I want to lift myself up.
They're
Like, I
projecting.
want you to see that why I'm here. I've been here so many years. I've gone through all this. I've gone through.
Yeah.
They're talking about themselves, bro.
They're projecting.
They're not talking about Jesus Christ. They're not preaching you salvation. They're preaching you their lives.
Yeah.
So that's not salvation at all either.
Nope.
They're not doing anything right. So that's why I'm saying, that's why like it makes me kind of upset to hear this kind of preaching. Like whenever I already experienced it myself and I learned it directly from God, I believe that it's supposed to be easy. Now, the very thing that I'm saying is like these people, by them mentioning this, is not helping anyone.
Yeah.
It's actually just like lifting themselves up, like I went through all this. That's why I deserve salvation because I did all these things. So now, when you talk about the works, like, because we talked last time about how we could turn from being like grace and the spiritual gift to now I work my own. I work my own, my own way. And we heard how God or Paul spoke to the Galatians about that.
Yeah.
Well, when he's talking, when in this verse, that Jesus is saying, "Come, all you heavy burden," or something like that. Lay down your burdens or something. I was thinking about not just like people, because like I said before, I only focus like I don't know why on people already in church. So come out to me, all you heavy burden, los que están trabajados. I'm thinking about all the work that they do in church, like for God.
Yeah.
Like the work that they do for God, because there's a lot of people who are focused on doing work for God, and sometimes they lose their way. They start off maybe the right way, and then it turns into, but I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm getting credit. They're checking their credits, like they're writing down all the things that they're doing, so they can get enough credit for what they did, and they can get worked out, bro. Because at the end of the day, it's not about that. It's not how many you can have worked how many ever times you want.
Yeah.
It's not about that. That's not going to earn you the salvation, right? So whenever this verse mentions that, I think about those people, like, all you people need to come to God so God can give you rest. Like, lay down your work. It's not about that. Like, yes, when we do the work, it's not actual work. It's just like you're working out of gratitude towards God. You're doing it out of you're happy about it. You're not even writing it down so someone can give you credit for it. You don't even care if people notice it, right?
Yeah.
So this brings me to Job. And when I read this, I had read the story of Job a few times. Well, I think that's one book of the Bible that I've read a bunch of times, more than others, because it was very confusing.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand what was going on, and I knew there was something there that I needed to get out.
I actually read it once, and then I had to watch a video for the explanation.
Okay.
Yeah. We were at Job, and then I told you that I had read it. I've only read it once.
Okay.
And it was confusing for me también. But reading the King James Version.
Yes.
Thou, and they use those kind of words.
Even more.
So after I read it, I had to go and see a video of it.
Right.
To get a review of what was going on, like a summary.
Yeah.
So you were saying you've read it
I read
multiple times.
I read it a few times because I knew that something was off, bro. Something was off. And even when I understood it, like I believed that the revelation of God had finally come for when I read it. I spent years really not being 100% sure whether it was me, that's just what I thought, or that it was God. But then it was confirmed for me. Like I believe that it was God, because I had never heard anyone preach it the way that I understood it. Ever. Their preaching went to another place. And years after, I had told my wife, like, this is what I believe the story of Job is about, and I told her everything.
Oh, I think I
Okay.
know where you're going with this.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I heard my favorite preacher that I was listening to.
Yeah.
I never heard him preach about Job ever.
Yeah.
Years after I learned this,
Mm-hmm.
there's a preaching. I download his app, and there's a preaching for free, and I choose something that they're talking about Job, and I choose it. It was like an hour or two long, and all they're talking about is exactly everything that I believe that chapter
Job was
book
about.
was about. And
Okay.
I was like, I believe that it was God showing. That's just, it's still, like, I'm not gonna say like, oh, this is exactly what it is. It's just what I believe.
Yeah.
Right? So what would get my attention from Job was that God Himself called him perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Look, and He would show him off kind of to the devil, and He would say, "Look at my servant Job. He is
Yeah.
perfect in
Mhm.
every way, and he is set apart from the
Mhm.
rest of the world to serve
Yeah.
God and all this." God Himself saying that to a person. So before this, I believe though there's no one is perfect. It's only Jesus.
Yeah.
No one is perfect.
Mhm.
Only God. Only Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
And just to read that God Himself is saying that about Job.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
I
el
know.
diablo. No, he said
Yeah,
el diablo.
my
Yeah.
servant he's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, there is a perfect person. And then I believe that the story of Job is a true story. A lot of people say that it's kind of like a parable, maybe like just like a story
Yeah.
that was made up. Obviously, it's important because God
I
decided.
believe it's a real story.
Yeah, I
too,
believe
man.
it's a real
Yeah.
story too. But God decided for the book to be in the Bible. So obviously, it's important.
Mhm.
It has an important message. But okay, so we read that He's perfect, and then the devil tells God, like, take this away from him to
Mhm.
see if he won't curse you or
Yeah.
whatever. And stuff starts to be taken away from him, his family, like you said,
Yeah.
his things,
Mm-hmm.
and even his health. And when he's really sick, he lost everything. He's complaining. He's
Mhm.
complaining about his life to God because he's saying, if I'm so perfect, like if I didn't do this, if I didn't do that, why do I deserve this?
Mhm.
And he's kind of like
Yeah.
That's what he's
questioning,
saying, kinda like-
questioning, yeah.
Complaining. And then his friends come over. There's 3 friends of his that are older, and there's a young guy that it doesn't really seem like he's part of their group, like their
Mhm.
everyday friends, but I maybe just know him and somehow
Mhm.
he's there.
Yeah.
So his close friend, I think it goes like in order from oldest to youngest. I'm not sure, but the first one starts speaking and starts saying, what he thinks about the whole thing. He's not really giving Job any encouragement or any hope. He's kind of just saying like, good things happen to good people, bad things happen to bad people. We don't know why you're here, but God has a plan for everything. Kind of like
Mhm.
that's what he's saying.
Yeah.
It's like it goes on and on.
Mhm.
There's different things
Yeah.
that he mentioned. I don't remember exactly what he's saying, but this is like an overview of what I
Yeah.
thought that was being said there. And then the next one spoke, and this was just like kind of like aggravating Job. He wasn't feeling happy that they were saying that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they were like blaming him for something, obviously.
Mhm. Yeah. He must have done something.
He must have done something.
Yeah.
So then the next one and the third one, and it all went the same way. And it was back and forth, them and Job speaking. And then the fourth one spoke, and his message was different. I don't remember exactly what his message was. For what I'm about to say is not really important. I guess we can go back and read what he said. But after him,
Mm-hmm.
God Himself, as the Bible says, that God Himself appeared to Job in like a thunder cloud or a storm.
No? That's what they called it.
And the storm, I don't know what the storm was
I
called,
think
but
so. Yeah.
he appeared to him in a storm,
In a
like in a
storm.
tornado or something.
Yeah.
And then now he started having a conversation with Job. So what the way like God's attitude towards Job was like, who are you?
Yeah.
Who are you to be complaining about everything that's happening to you? Like,
Yeah.
I'm God.
Mm-hmm.
I can do whatever I want. Like I laid the foundations of this
Of the
earth.
Yeah.
Who has given me counsel to say
Yeah.
to the ocean, oh, you're only going to come up to here? Who's
Mhm.
giving me advice as to where
Yeah.
the earth is going to
Mhm.
hang
Yeah.
from nowhere, like in the
Sí,
balance?
sí, sí.
How are you going to just tell me
Yeah.
or question me,
Mhm.
whatever you
Mhm.
think? Just so then the first time God tells Job, like, answer me. And
Yeah.
the first time Job answers back and just starts going on again with the same thing, like kind of justifying himself. And then God again starts his part. And then going like towards the end, I noticed something. And God tells Job something that's the words popped out for me. And it was like, you tell me if your own right hand can save you. And then I myself will, I guess, what is he saying? Like, I myself will agree that you're righteous, or like you will be kind of excused.
Mhm.
I guess, like, if your own right hand can save you, then I guess your point was made. I guess kind of like
mhm.
God
Yeah,
was
you
saying that.
don't- Yeah. Uh-huh.
And then after he said that, the first time Job answered, the first time God gave him an opportunity to answer, the second time when God said that, Job didn't answer anymore. And what he said was like, I repent in ashes. So in their culture, what I was reading is that in their culture, whenever someone says like I repent in ashes or whatever, is like they rip their clothes off and they throw ashes in their head, like displaying or exhibiting like or deep regret or like a deep, you know. So it was like something meaningful that he said.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
he was in regret, and when I saw that, I was like,
But he repented, questioning at all, no? Like even like asking, like, why is this happening to me, no?
at that point for me, it was like, what is he repenting of? If God Himself called him perfect, maybe he had an argument with God, right?
Yeah.
But what sin is that you can question God, right?
No, because doesn't he say like?
Because he doesn't curse
I know
God.
that I
He
know
just-
nothing. No, doesn't he say like I know that I don't know anything?
I don't remember
Yeah,
exactly
see,
what the argument was.
That's what he feels bad about.
But
even
for
questioning.
but for me, I don't think the way that I saw it, I didn't see that he felt bad for questioning. He did feel bad for questioning, but the repentance, like that show, that huge display of repentance, it means something else, and the following verses will explain why I think this is
All right.
right. So he makes like this huge thing about that, and then he says, before I had heard about you, and now my eyes have seen you. Right, so I repent in ashes before I had heard about you, and now
Yeah.
my eyes have seen you. So what all this means to me is, God, Job knew about God. He knew about God.
Yeah.
He followed God to the T. He did everything
yeah.
because he knew what things were expected of God, God's laws and God's commandments and all that, and he followed it perfectly. But he knew about God. He didn't know God personally. So when
Yeah.
he says, now my eyes have seen you, he saw like the heart of God. He saw something different.
Yeah.
And when God mentioned to him, like, if your own right hand can save you, that to me, what that means is, even after being perfect, all this can happen to you. All the good works that you did and everything, you're still here. Tell me, can you save yourself?
Yeah.
And that to me was an eye opener. It was like, I was thinking about all the people in church, right? And thinking they've been years in church and being perfect and everything. Like, at the end of the day, that's not
That's
what
not enough.
saves you.
It's not enough. Yeah.
Yeah. So then when he admitted that, when Job made that declaration and he repented and he said that he has seen God and he prayed for his friends, everything got restored to him many times fold. So what the main point about this whole thing for me was, even if it's like the biggest sinner, or even if it's the person who's perfect, who commits no sin,
Yeah.
they both need the salvation. They need God. They need Jesus.
They
Like
need the hand.
they need the salvation
They
from
need the
Jesus. You can't save yourself, even if you're perfect.
Yeah.
You
Even
know?
if you're perfect, that doesn't matter.
So the main point was here, like, don't get caught up in your works. Don't worry about what you can or cannot do. Just worry about Jesus.
Yeah.
Focus on the subject should always be
Same.
Jesus. Jesus is the answer. He's the
Yeah.
salvation. And because otherwise, if you worry about what you can or cannot do, you're focusing on your own will,
Yeah.
your own power. That would destroy you, man. And you
Yeah.
always feel like you're not enough. So that's what
And you see,
my
like,
problem was.
the connection of eso, can your own right hand save you?
Yeah.
In the New Testament, in the different disciple versions, well, not versions, but of books, right? When Jesus calls on Peter to walk on the water,
Okay.
¿verdad? Y luego, pues, right, he's able to take a few steps, and then what happens? He drowns, ¿verdad? And then what hand, right?
Yeah.
He essentially reaches out, and you see ahí the connection of, like
Like you need the hand of Jesus.
you need the hand of Jesus.
Yeah, so
to save you.
that's the
He
main.
can, he said, like, you have little faith, no? You have little faith, like, something like that, no? He says,
Yeah.
like, Peter, you have little faith. Y ya lo rescata de ahí de...
That's the main thing that I think that we should always remember. Whether you're new in church, if you're new, it's easy, right? You can't do it yourself, so you're coming to God and He'll help
Yeah.
you. It's and it'll be easy because you're relying on what Jesus did,
Yeah.
not on what you can do, because
Yeah.
you'll never be able to do it. But then whenever you spend so many years in church, you can also never forget that it's not your own power, your own strength, your own works that's
Yeah.
doing it. It's only Jesus. And that's what I think a lot of people lose their vision. You know?
Their
You
vision.
know what I'm saying?
I like all of this, que it like ties in, like you're mentioning, like parts of your life and stuff, personal stuff. And you've told me before que your wife name is Jessica, and you made the tie-in with, right, that's her name, Jessica,
Yeah.
and you made the tie-in with Jesus and stuff. So that's beautiful stuff for me, man. Like I love hearing stories like this. And even besides all of this, that you say que even though que you were married at this point, and if you hadn't recognized then, you said that you read some verses. Pero one of the beginning things, or one of the things that does happen for a man is if God sees you worthy, He rewards you with a wife, and that's one of the things that happens to you. So then after that, but it just ties everything else in where it affirms the faith, and
Yeah.
that's what's awesome. Que you have that, you have that, and you can say that personal, como sería, like they call them like testimonials,
Okay.
like of stuff, and
Yeah.
it just affirms everything else. So
Yeah, it does.
besides the stories in the Bible, which is the beginning of to get examples of this is what can happen and this is what does happen, but there are outside elements of and this is what happened to this person, and this can happen to this. And I know como like the book of Job is one of the ones of it's one of the wisdom books, right? It's el de Job, el de Proverbs, and Ecclesiastes, no?
Isn't it part of Psalms also?
Sí. Well, I think Psalms is more like I'm not sure.
I think Psalms is in that category.
It's part of wisdom books.
Psalms, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, and then Job.
And Job, yeah.
And then is there any
I think it's just those four, if any.
I think those all tied together.
And I know like como Job, being one of the wisdom books, and Ecclesiastes, that's more like where they're talking about if you do good, then you get good, and if you do bad, you get bad. And this is like a critic type. Okay, he's like, this isn't true, and he's like, everything is random and it doesn't matter the events. So this affirms the does your own right hand save you?
Oh, yeah, that's true, because and I think in Proverbs also and in Ecclesiastes, he's like, the same thing happens to the everybody, like the rich and the poor, they die the same way.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you did in your life, like the same thing's gonna happen to both of you. I guess that makes sense.
See, so Ecclesiastes is more like como criticizing the idea of being good is not enough.
He's saying like everything is vanity. Like, you can work all your life for nothing.
Matter.
You're gonna give it to someone else when you die, and something like that.
At the end, it doesn't. And we heard when we were playing online, we play a lot of games, and one of our friends with us said, "Okay, what does all this matter?
Yeah.
What is the point of all this?" And this is what Ecclesiastes, in that book, right? What does it matter? Pero that isn't the end of it. That isn't I had a co-worker that I used to work with at Walmart, Victor, who he is, and he told me when I was reading the Bible, he's like, let me show you a trick, and he tells me, he's like, you see this Bible here, and he's like, this is an acronym, and I'm like, what are you talking about, man? He told me, he said, basic instructions before leaving Earth, and I was just like, oh damn.
Wow.
I was like, damn. And so earlier you said, like, this is the stepping stone into the next life, and so the Bible happens to be that of así como me la aventó él, basic instructions before leaving.
That's crazy.
Before leaving here.
The first time I heard that one.
Yeah, and I was like, damn, that's some deep stuff. Pero pues sí, it's correct. At the end, what we do know is that the devil's a defeated foe. He's panicked at this since all of this began, and we're part of that story, right? Caught in the middle of a war. And they mention Armageddon, right? And Armageddon is actually a place. It's outside of Israel. It's not an event. It's a place where this thing ends and the battle breaks out. And we know que the way, or the path is narrow. What is that verse? Yeah. You know what I'm talking about? The path these travel by.
A few travel.
Yeah. So we're a few in numbers, right? And what do we know? We know that it is when you're standing at the precipice that it inspires change, at the point of giving up. And so at the end, right, and this already played out because we're just living what has already happened, right? This has already been written in stone. At the end, what happens is we are few numbers in the sight of the light and in the sight of heaven. And hell has the big numbers, right? And so you can imagine that what kind of encouragement is that, right? So you're looking and you're just like, there is no way we can win. Pero at the end, we already know que Jesus, right? What is he? They strike the head of the beast and cast them down to the lake of fire and brimstone along with the Antichrist, right? Yeah. And there they burn for eternity along with all those who worshipped the beast, right? That's what it says. Along with all those, and they burn for eternity in the presence of who? In the presence of the Lamb. For all eternity. So Jesus también is there in hell watching everybody burn for eternity there. So I remember when I read that, I was like, that's pretty scary stuff. In the presence of the Lamb se están quemando toda esta gente. So that was a pretty interesting talk. the Bible stuff, and I can keep going on, man.
Yeah.
I can keep going. There's a lot of stuff we can keep mentioning y todo. Let's see. Well, we directly jumped to the last topic here. The
Skipped
practicing Christianity. So one of the last things I want to say aquí is, I believe that God is in the details también.
Yeah.
Just like earlier I was saying, like the devil is in the details.
Yeah.
God is in the details también.
Okay.
Everywhere. And I believe that me being a musician and you also, I don't know if you have the same view, pero I believe that after the Tower of Babel, right, and then God separated everybody into tribes and nobody could speak the same language, so they couldn't communicate. I believe that the only true universal language is music.
Okay.
That's my view. And I know this because I read it in the Quran, which is the Muslim or Islamic faith, and because they follow Gabriel, and one of the things that it mentions there is que cuando el angel ese hablaba, era por música. Like it was through song. Like he was communicating through song.
Okay.
It wasn't like aquí us talking. He was like singing.
Yeah.
And that's how they were able to transcribe, right?
It comes to the saying that they say, like, oh, that person sings beautiful, like they have the voice of an angel or something.
Yeah.
Like that.
The voice of an angel. So I believe that God works through songs. God and Psalms. The book of Psalms is happens to be songs of David también. And so me, whenever I look at songs, any kind of song, well, it depends on the type, I'm able to make the connection of the lyricism, the lyrics, and I see, even though there's something more. There's something more than meets the eye. And this is not just, but obviously, if you're looking at Christian lyrics, it's obvious. It's there. Pero there's this song that Pink Floyd, and let me pull it up. ¿Cómo se llama? What's the name of this song? Is it hang on. This is just my.
I know. I get what you're saying. It's everywhere. I see it too. Sometimes, like, I'll hear any songs. I think I heard one by Rihanna a long time ago, and then the lyrics were very weird, and I was like, "Well, I can be saying this to God, you know? This is kind of like these lyrics."
It's like
and it happens a lot in movies too.
También.
For me, every time I see a movie like this is just like the story of the Bible.
Yeah, man. And so aquí está, and it says right here, "Hey you, don't help them to bury the light. Don't give in without a fight. Hello, hey you, would you help me to carry the stone?" And it's like a question mark. Open your heart, I'm coming home. So aquí, for me, it's like when you're reading this, it's like, would you help me to carry the stone? It's like when cuando le dicen a Jesus, like, what are you gonna do with this rock? You know, would you help me, el Pharisee? Like, would you help me to carry the stone? Y aquí le está contestando Jesus, open your heart, like, I'm coming home. Like, you know, so this is just me making connections, and that's what's awesome. When I don't know, man. It's overwhelming for me. And the more I look at this, like, there's sometimes I try to, like, stay away from this stuff only because it scares me. Because the more I look into lyrics and stuff así, it's like, it just... Coldplay, man.
Yeah.
La song de Coldplay, la de Viva la Vida.
Okay.
I know cuando dice, I know St. Peter won't call my name.
Yeah. I thought that mean.
It's like, it's everywhere. Even though you couldn't see it, you just have to go back and look at it más bien a bien. Look at what they're talking about.
I guess I'll mention the lyrics of this song, the one that I mentioned about Rihanna.
Okay.
It's a song called "Stay." So here are the lyrics. So it starts like this: all along it was a fever, a cold sweat, hot-headed believer. So hot-headed believer, I thought believer like a believer in God, right? And then I threw my hands in the air and said, "Show me something." So whenever you're in church, like, you throw your hands in the air. Show me something. That means like enlightenment from God. Yeah. He said, if you dare come a little closer. In church, they mentioned that also, like, come close to God. And the Bible says, draw near to me and I will draw near to you. Yeah. And then the next says, round and around we go. Oh, now, tell me now, you know. The next one, they say, not really sure how to feel about it. Something in the way you move makes me feel like I can't live without you. It takes me all the way. I want you to stay. So something in the way you move, like the way God moves. God moves in mysterious ways. Have you heard that saying, time? Yeah. So not much of a life you're living. It's not something you take, it's given. So then the other one says, oh, the reason I hold on, because I need this hole gone. Well, funny, you're the broken one, but I'm the only one that needed saving. Yeah. Because when you never see the light, it's hard to see which one of us is caving. This song, I don't know what it's written for or what it's about. It's
But you're making the...
For me, I'm thinking about God.
Yeah. Y yo también, when I read Viva la Vida, la de Coldplay,
yeah.
y luego empieza, I used to rule the world, seas would rise when I gave the word, now in the morning I sleep alone, sweep the streets I used to own. Y luego I used to roll the dice, feel the fear in my enemies' eyes. So it's like the enemies for Jesus, the majority were the Pharisees.
Okay.
And listen as the crowd would sing, now the old king is dead, long live the king.
Oh.
Y luego dice, 1 minute I held the key, next the walls were closed on me. So that's ya cuando lo están crucifying. And I discovered that my castle stand upon pillars of salt and pillars of sand. So for me, that's like como the disciples, right? Because he left, ultimately, those were who he gave charge to go and spread the gospel. Yeah. And this was who left behind. For some reason I can't explain, once you go, there was never an honest word, and that was when I ruled the world. Y lo más allá dice, revolutionaries wait for my head on a silver plate, just a puppet on a lonely string. Who would ever want to be king? So yeah, eso es el... And then aquí, even if you couldn't see it, I hear the Jerusalem bells ringing, Roman cavalry choir singing. Hey, lo, for some reason I can't explain. I know St. Peter won't call my name. And
Wow.
when all of this started for me, like when I first started into the Bible, and I'm a big fan of Coldplay, and I was like, these guys are singing
directly from the Bible.
Are singing about God.
Yeah.
They're directly talking about God, and even though we can't see it, right? You think this song is about something else. For me, it's not. For me, this is taking the perspective of Jesus.
Yeah, and in the movies, it's always about, even in the Disney kids movies, someone always sacrifices their life to save others.
Lion King, bro.
Lion King. The most recent I saw, it's an old movie, but I just saw it recently. I think like last week with my daughter because we didn't have anything else to do.
Yeah.
It's Big Hero 6.
Oh yes.
So the balloon guy stays in the hole to save his friends.
Yeah.
So it's,
Rupert would say that I was that balloon guy. Baymax, se llama.
Baymax. But there's even more details than just that simple thing if you pay attention to it. And a lot of the movies they have, and a lot of the movies also in the wrong way. What I had been noticing a lot a few years back, I haven't noticed this anymore. Like I don't watch that many movies anymore, like in the theater or whatever. But back then, I want to say, but maybe like 5 years back, every single movie, bro, in the beginning, it was blasphemy against God. It was like they were just saying bad things. There was times when me and my wife would go watch a movie because it had a good title, and then just like the first 5 minutes, something was like blasphemy against God. Me and my wife actually had to get up and leave, even if we paid and everything. Because it was just so offensive.
What movie?
I don't remember exactly what movie this one was. I think it was even like a Christmas movie. I don't remember. But it was in a lot of movies where they just... they don't wait long after the movie just begins and don't mention like the name of Jesus, but they're like saying something bad, something wrong, something offensive, something that's just wrong.
Yeah, Hollywood... they do stuff like that. Pero yeah, I see what you're saying. One of the movies that I saw when all of this was going down for me, I was like Coldplay, and actually I became obsessed with the lyrics. And every song I was looking at, then I'm just like, estos vatos
they're talking about something else.
Otro nivel, yeah. And I had seen the movie like the King Arthur. Okay. So that's the one with the sword and right. Y ahí también I was like, aquí está bien pintado.
Yeah.
Like el tío, and it's the same story as the Egypt. You remember Sept and what was it? The hummingbird god. What was his name? What was his name? The Egyptian god. Horus.
Okay.
Horus. Right, and then el hijo, Horus.
Because I haven't watched this movie, bro.
Well, I'm talking about the Egyptian god. So it's Horus, and then the dad that Horus is, it's the sun god.
Okay.
And I can't remember his name. And the tío is the one who like mata al hijo de. Right? Is that how it goes? He wants to become king. So the next person to become king is Horus. He takes his power away. Que le quita el eye. This is the god that has the eye.
Okay.
And that eye is everywhere in money symbols, and you see that, and they connect it with the Illuminati, right? So this is también like Jesus, right? So they make this connection with like como Horus is like Jesus. And like the devil wants to take the reign, right? Because the next person to take the throne is Jesus, right? So Jesus is on the throne, and the devil wants to. So, And that's what this movie también, it's like el tío banishes the mata al papá, and the son, right, becomes, right, he thinks that the son is dead, the son is the rightful ruler, and the son is in
Como la de Lion
in
King
exile.
también.
Yeah, kind of
The
like in
same
Lion
thing.
King. Yeah, so it's like the same stories but different ways
Sí.
of saying it. So yeah, pues this was a good podcast, man. We talked about a lot of
Yeah.
topics. So I think we'll just leave it there,
Ya está, bro.
and maybe in the next one we'll just pick up on. And I like these kind of talks, man. I like
Yeah.
to talk about this stuff. We'll talk about in the next one. I want to get controversial, and I want to ask. The question is gonna be: does the Virgin Mary have power?
No, okay.
So that's gonna be the question. So
All right.
stay tuned for the next one, and pues we'll end it there.
All right.
Ya está.
Stop.